Good morning, sir. We welcome you to the national webinar.
Very good morning, madam. Thank you. Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah.
We are waiting for Principal Madam.
Okay.
As soon as she joins, we will start.
Yeah, sure.
Good morning, Professor Anil. This is Dr.
Good morning. Good morning, madam. Good morning.
Welcome to Metric College.
Thank
Though
you,
through
madam.
virtual platform only.
Yeah, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Let us have an auspicious beginning with the lamp lighting ceremony.
Good morning, Dr. Anil. I'm
Very good morning, madam. Yeah.
Ritu here. Sir, if you had been in our college, then you would have lighted the lamp, but now we are doing it virtually. Even
I can understand the situation of pandemic.
Yeah, even principal ma'am would have joined in lighting, and we would have an auspicious beginning in reality. But now this is at this platform.
Yes, yes, yes.
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मामृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः असतो मा
Scintillations, the Physics Society of Maitrey College, welcomes you all to the national webinar on energy efficient innovations and applications. This year, 2021, is very special as it has been a century since Einstein got the Nobel Prize for the discovery of the photoelectric effect. You all must be knowing that the photoelectric effect is the phenomena in which photons of certain frequency are capable of producing electrons when they strike a metallic target. This discovery revolutionized our understanding of the world around us. After 100 years, the evolved technologies have enabled us to harness the solar, wind, and the geothermal energies for the production of power. Green energy provides the highest environmental benefit and impact. Today's webinar is going to shed some more light on this topic. Now I request our respected Principal Madam, Dr. Haritma Chopra, to share her words of wisdom with the audience.
Thank you, Mansi, for giving me this opportunity to speak. At the onset, fraternity, I extend a very warm welcome to Professor Anil Kumar from Delhi DTU, and it is indeed an honor for us to have you with us. And I hope and I heartily welcome all the participants. I can see that the number is gradually increasing, though we have observed more than 200 students have registered for this webinar, so gradually they will have their classes also the morning, so they would be joining in between. But maybe this because standard time that we would be starting half an hour late, because we generally used to wait for everyone to join in. But now with technology, we have become we have started respecting time in a much better. That is why we are starting, and we can see that the students and the other participants are gradually joining in. And I hope that all the people who have joined in session, all and their loved ones, are safe and comfortable. And in fact, we are now organizing a webinar on for the past 16 months, maybe since the beginning of 2020, the we'll say that the focus of entire globe has changed, because nowadays whenever we meet, we talk about COVID pandemic, and then how things have changed, and maybe more or less talk about building up immunity. Then we think about vaccination drives and types of been that have been produced. Different countries are promoting different vaccinations, but overall one consensus that came was that it is very important to get yourself vaccinated. But and when we all are confined to our home and we are connecting with one another through the digital medium, only through these virtual platforms, as an administrator, I could see that the amount of electricity consumption, though at our college, has reduced, because now the classes are not being held, students are there at their homes only. But at the same time, if you look at, maybe everybody would agree to it, that if you look at the energy consumption at our household, it has increased, because of the time if we are using our computers, we are glued to with the laptop.
Ma'am, you are on mute.
I think speaking for the past 5 minutes and I was on mute, so nobody could hear me so far.
No, ma'am, you
Oh,
just
no.
went for 1 minute only, less than 1 minute.
Okay, because maybe I was just mute, so I thought that maybe nobody hear me for so. Okay, so let me continue with what I was saying. I said that since the electricity consumption has increased, so maybe I do not know if we actually compute this, are we contributing that is happening, and when emission. So there are so many things, and the need of the hour that arises is that maybe we need more innovative technology so that we can conserve our energy and we are using lesser of fossil fuels, because this is what we have been talking. But maybe for the of climate change, and what happened was we thought that down, even the air pollution index of had reduced, so we were thinking that this is one way, and we talked about, we say that the herself, but we can be under lockdown for life to come. Maybe after some time we all would be again following the same protocols, we would again be meeting when we are interacting. So again the usage of fuels would increase, and in case, so we means this is the height we have for alternatives when we are using the technology, whether we are using simple doing the data analysis, when our computers we are consuming on energy. And this time when we have our students with us, and nothing, these are our budding scientists, so maybe when they get the opportunity to hear out from the experts, this may motivate them to come up with more innovations also, and maybe they will become more sensitive towards the usage of electricity and energy in general, we can say the energy consumption. So when these things are happening, and because whether we talk about technology, whether we talk about, and nowadays even like we talk about Tesla, they have come up with electric vehicles also, and how good it is and how useful, or maybe when we talk about our day-to-day time, how better is this as a option that is being available, since we have Professor Anil Kumar from the Mechanical Science Department of DU. So I would be very happy if he highlights on these facts also, that should we focus because many of us might be waiting that once the lockdown opens up, we might buy our new vehicles also. So should we go in for electric vehicles? Should we go in for these vehicles? How better is to have a vehicle with CNG? These are the normal questions that always ponder in everyone's mind, and we always look for answers to these questions. And it is very, I congratulate physics department for organizing this event, because now the students will be getting a direct opportunity to interact. And I could see that in the second session we have Professor Himanshu, and he would be talking about energy data, how to use effective analysis under the, so it means these two important things, computing and how to use these energy sources efficiently, these are very important for us. And maybe I won't be taking very long, and we would be very happy to hear from Professor Anil that what he would like to share and guide our students. And these are the, because thanks to technology, now these such sessions are no longer restricted to the Maitreyi community, because we have observed that whenever we float such a webinar, then it is being attended by people across India. So we have representation from different states, and even if a handful number of people they join in, but whatever is the takeaway of the webinar, they would certainly be discussing the same with their peer group and those who are in different states. So maybe the message is communicated to the wider number of people, and many people are they are, maybe we'll say that they would be benefited. So I once again welcome Professor Anil, and I hope that this particular session would turn out to be very enriching and learning experience for one and all. So thank you, Dr. Ritu, for organizing this, and I thank Physics Department for giving me this opportunity to speak. Thank you so much, and welcome Professor Anil once again.
Thank you. Madam.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring and motivating words, which always fill us with zeal to do more. Next, I would like to invite the convener of the webinar, Dr. Ritu Dhingra, TIC Department of Physics, to address the participants.
A very good morning to the August gathering here. On behalf of the Physics Department, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
On behalf of the Physics Department, Maitreyi College, I welcome you all to this webinar. It is rightly said, conserve energy to preserve future. Energy is the most essential requirement to run any equipment, machine, vehicle, or even us. Due to the excessive use of energy, we face the problem of energy crisis, which can be resolved in two ways. One way is to follow the saying that energy saved is energy created. That is, consume energy judiciously. You must have heard your elders saying, when the sun is bright, say no to tube light. The other way is to produce green energy from renewable sources like wind and sun, but that is available only for a limited span of time. To tackle the intermittent issues of renewable energy, various methods to store this energy effectively and efficiently are being sought after. To learn about these sustainable energy solutions, we decided to conduct this webinar on energy efficient innovations and applications, in which two eminent scientists, Dr. Anil Kumar and Dr. Himanshu Fulara, who both are experts in the field of energy efficiency, will enlighten us about their innovations. I'm very thankful to both Dr. Kumar and Dr. Fulara for accepting our invitation, for sharing their valuable knowledge and expertise in this field. They are not only efficiently converting the energy into usable form, but also applying it in the real world. I must quote Buckminster Fuller, who said that there is no energy crisis, food crisis, or environmental crisis. This is only a crisis of ignorance. So let's start with our webinar to come out of our cocoon of ignorance. Thank you, Dr. Anil, for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, ma'am, for your enlightening words. Now, I would like all of you to please switch on your cameras for a ceremonial photograph. All of you, please switch on your cameras. Okay. So before starting with this session, I would like to request all the participants to post their questions in the chat box. And also you are requested to type your name and affiliation along with the questions. Now I would like to call upon Dr. Parul Yadav to introduce the first speaker of today's webinar, Dr. Anil Kumar.
Thank you, Dr. Mansi. We have with us our esteemed invited speaker, Dr. Anil Kumar. Thank you, sir, for gracing the occasion. Dr. Anil Kumar is an associate professor in Department of Mechanical Engineering, Delhi Technological University. At present, he is also additional coordinator of Center for Energy and Environment, DTU. He has completed his PhD in solar energy from Center for Energy Studies, IT Delhi. Dr. Kumar was postdoctoral researcher at Energy Technology Research Center, Prince of Songkhla University for 2 years. He has also served as assistant professor at Energy Center, MANIT, and in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Rajiv Gandhi Pradyogiki Vishwavidyalaya, Bhopal. His area of specialization are renewable energy, energy technology, solar energy applications, heat transfer, natural rubber sheet drying, and environmental issues. He has completed many research funded projects in these areas. He has published 139 papers in international peer reviewed journals and 75 papers in international and national conference proceedings. He has developed a thin layer drying model with his student, which is known as the Prakash and Kumar model. He is an author of 11 books. Dr. Kumar has 1 granted and 3 published patents and supervised 9 PhD scholars. He has received various awards from reputed sources like Outstanding Scientist Award and Distinguished Scientist Award in 2021 from VD Good Professional Association and Research Excellence Award in 2016 from the Web of Science database, honored by President Prince of Songkhla University, Thailand. May I now request Sir to begin his lecture on industrial prospects of solar thermal energy applications. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much for inviting me over here and giving me this opportunity to talk, to say something. And first of all, I would like to thank this organizing team, the whole organizing team, and the convener, Dr. Ritu Dhingra, and Professor and Patton for this webinar, Energy Efficient Innovation and Applications, Professor Haritma Madam, Principal. And I would like to thank Dr. Neelam Singh also for contacting me regarding this talk. So without wasting more time, I should start my presentation. Okay, share screen. Yeah. Is it visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So now it should be this mode. Yeah. This bottom here. So, okay. So once again, thank you very much for calling me over here. And definitely, Madam has raised some issues regarding. First of all, I would like to give answer the electric vehicles and CNG. And definitely, at present, it is a choice, and the government of whether the government of India or the Delhi government is also promoting this electric vehicles, and many people are rushing up towards this. But fact is that uh, electric vehicle is not the ultimate solution, because what we are doing, if suppose because electric vehicles are charging through the conventional sources of energy, okay, like the grid electricity. So if suppose we could able to provide the charging station based on the solar energy system or some other renewable energy based system, right? So it could be the grid energy also. So in that case, it is the helpful to us, to our environment. Otherwise, there is a like the shifting of electric consumptions only. Okay, now means the shifting of the ultimately we are using the electric this conventional energy sources only. So ultimate solution for the vehicle, for the transportation, is hydrogen energy. And hydrogen energy are basically from the biomass or some biorefinery or some processes there, from the biogas for the gas, for producer gas. If suppose and however, this technology is very costly right now. So my talk will be.
Sir, you are on mute.
Sir,
Oh, okay. Why? How it happens so automatically? Okay. Now I hope I am audible now. So
yeah.
so my talk is basically the prospects of the solar thermal applications. Industrial prospects. Some word is missing basically over here. This is basically industrial prospects of the solar thermal energy applications. So I would like to talk before coming to my topic, the prospects of the industrial prospects for the solar energy applications, like some fundamentals, like some energy issues and all. So why it is not here? So like the India's energy and renewable energy contribution, these topics I would like to discuss: the industrial energy consumptions and solar collector and its technology and its temperature range, and for which specific application which kind of the technology is suitable, and the heat requirement for the industrial application for various process. And most of the processes are very similar, okay, in many industries. Okay, so if suppose I got that some time is sufficient, then I would like to take some case study also, right? So in fact, as Madam was also saying, like energy consumption, sustainability, energy saving, energy efficiency. Actually, ultimately, what we want, and there is two words. One is the energy security, and another one we want to keep the clean environment. Okay. So this story of utilization of renewable energy resources was started in the early 70s. So by that time, what happened? The cost of this fossil fuel becomes very high. Why? Because the this Gulf country formed one this group, that is the OPEC. Okay, so however, it was formed in the 1963 itself, but it was not functioning, and the trading between the two country for this crude oil for the 1-to-1 only, right? So but in the early 70s, what happened? The prices were hiked the 3 times suddenly. So and our all the industrial requirement, our all the economy was totally based on the conventional fuel. Conventional fuel means fossil fuel. So, and at the same time, one another incident was occurred, that was the ozone layer depletion, right? So because of these two reasons, the people thinking start towards renewable energy sources. Okay, and definitely, of course, renewable energy is not the totally the emission free. It is not the totally the carbon free energy, right? So, but as compared to fossil fuel, as compared to some other conventional fuel, so definitely it is some relaxations there. And in fact, the government of India is also very much determined to establish this renewable energy system over here. And okay, so in fact, this and 175 gigawatt of renewable power capacity by 2022, and you will not believe, almost by the 2020 December 2020, almost the 86% was already installed. And this target we could able to achieve much earlier, but because of this pandemic, many problems are occurred and everywhere. Okay, so countries share for the non-fossil, this is installed electric capacity to, it is increased to 40% by the 2030. This is our target, basically, the government of India. And in fact, the government of India doing the very nice work for promoting the renewable energy sources, solar energy, especially the solar energy and the biomass, wind. And wind is already exploited at the steam only. So now this government, okay. So government of India has set target of 175 gigawatt of the renewable power capacity by the end of the 2022, and it includes 60 gigawatt from the wind power, and where we have already achieved the 48,000 or the 48 gigawatts from itself. Okay, we have already achieved 100 gigawatt from the solar power. In this solar power, basically, we cannot say we are totally independent of setting this solar energy. And basic of what happened, the most of the power generation from the solar energy is from solar photovoltaic systems. And the solar photovoltaic system, even today in India, we are not we are not able to fabricate. Of course, we can fabricate, but our dependency on the neighboring country, in fact, in China, whatever the power plants are set up, and these commercial power plants, okay, and it could be the range of the 2,500 megawatt in somewhere in the UP and Madhya Pradesh border. Our Prime Minister has inaugurated that setup in 1 year back. Okay, so but all the photovoltaic modules are imported from the China. Okay, so we cannot say like we are completely energy secure in this sense, because when they stop, then definitely what will happen, everybody knows. Okay, and in fact, at the end of this its life is around the photovoltaic system, photovoltaic module life is around the 15 years. Okay, so at the end of this life, this waste, the disposable of that waste is another problem, right? So solution is to search some other technology like the solar power generation from the solar thermal power plants only, right? So, and some other sources are also thermoionic is another, and thermoelectric generators are another kind of the technology. And in fact, by utilizing the solar energy, the heat energy, or solar radiation into the heat, and that heat could be we could use for the electrolysis process for producing the hydrogen and all. So we can utilize the solar energy in that way, in the better way, or more environmental friendly way. Okay, so 10 gigawatt from the biomass power. However, this target is very less, but it is fine. And in fact, in future will be of the biomass energy only. Okay, so 5 gigawatt from the small hydropower. Though we have a lot of potential for the hydropower in our northeast and Himachal Pradesh, Leh Ladakh region, and many small streams are over there. So small hydropower system, small, mini, micro, and pico type power power generation from the hydropower, a lot of potential over there. But at present, the government of India has emphasizes on the solar energy. Of course, because in India we are so blessed with the godson and almost the 5.5 kilowatt per meter square per day. This is the availability of what this is on an average. It varies from the across the country. Overall, we can say we have the huge potential for solar power generation, right? And intended national determined contribution also committed to reduce the India's greenhouse emission intensity per unit GDP by 30 to 35 below as 2005 level of 2030. So this is our commitment. Okay, commitment to the global society. Okay, so and that was committed in our Prime Minister in the France 2 years back, and if in fact the government is doing very good work to achieve this target also, and to create the additional carbon sink 2.5 to 3 million tons of the carbon dioxide to the additional cover. So these are the some activities. And in fact, when we talk about the national solar mission, we cannot avoid to talk about this national solar mission. So it was the first initiative, basically, Government of India. Okay, so looking before that, before the this 2010 or 2008, basically this process was this mission started from the 2010 itself, right? So but by the 2015, that the set target was the different, but later on the by it was only the 100 gigawatt, but later on it has increased the 175 gigawatt. Okay, and so this and it is basically 3-phase approaches. Okay, so the mission objective is to establish India as a global leader in the solar energy, creating the policy condition and the solar technology diffusion across the, and our target, as I said, our target 100 gigawatt, and this is 100 gigawatt is huge quantity. So initial, and just one more very interesting thing is there, the initial target of this mission, under this mission, national solar mission, was installing only the 20 gigawatt grid connected solar power plant by the 2020. But later the government has decided to increase it, because that target we have achieved by this 2017 itself. Okay, so the so later on, the government has decided to enhance its capacity, the 20 gigawatts to 100 gigawatts to achieve this, okay, in the same year. So so now so this is basically the estimated renewable energy potential. Like the huge potential we have, the 1096 gigawatt exploitable total. So 302 gigawatt from wind energy, and in fact the wind energy, this is the on an average height, the 100 meter mast height. As we increase the height, that definitely up to some at a certain height, its velocity increase. But at the same time, some other problems are there. Some like maintenance problem is there. The cost, the system cost is increased also. Small hydropower 21 gigawatt, the bioenergy 25 gigawatt, 750 gigawatt from solar power. Okay, so these are the some potential renewable energy potential in India. So one more thing, just I want to mention over here, the solar power capacity has increased by more than the 14 times the last 5 years, from 2,630 megawatt to 37,500, and now it has increased up 41,000 megawatt. Okay, 41,000 megawatt it was in the December 2020. So this, okay, so and in fact the capacity, this 85.90 gigawatt has been set up by the December 19, constituting more than the 23% of the, but at present the total 23% is a power generation from the renewable energy sources, right? So this is our power generation picture. This all India installed capacity of the power station, and in fact still even today this coal-based power generation is dominant. Of course it will be some more time, because overnight we cannot replace with the non-renewable power generation to the renewable power generation. It will, and or in fact, the country like India, we are the developing country. It is challenge for us, basically. Okay, so total installed capacity and the total thermal, basically the 2,31,000. Okay, and out of that, the coal is the dominating one, that almost the 2 lakhs megawatt is generated from the coal itself, and the lignite is a low quality of the coal, and sometimes it is also being used. However, it is not it is not good to use this kind of the, but okay, we can utilize. So gas turbine based power plants are there, the 25,000 megawatt. The diesel is also a diesel. However, this diesel is not environment friendly, but definitely the for some emergency purposes like this hospital purposes. Of course, hospital and some mini industries, this in the diesel based power plants are definitely proven to be very good resources during the load shedding, right? So okay, so now nuclear energy, this is the another, of course, it is the one of the most cleanest energy. Okay, but it has some threats, safety concern, of course. So the hydropower is the 45,000 megawatt. Earlier in the beginning, like at the time of independence, the share of the hydropower was more than the 70%, but later on it has decreases, and it has overcome by this coal-based power plants, right? So the total installed capacity as on the 31st December 2020, as per the this is data is taken from the Central Electricity Authority. They are authorized. They are authorized to publish the whatever the production is there. Okay, we have the three sectors: the central sector, state sector, private sector. So central government of India is producing like a national thermal power plant or national hydropower plant. These are the and many small organizations are also there. Okay, so it accounts for the 25%, and state sector is accounts for 27%, and rest of that the private sector. Okay, so now just to look at over here, the renewable energy is totally in total it is producing the 91,000 megawatt, and it is basically the 24% of whatever the power is generated in India, and of course, but only however this quantity is moved, but basically the power factor is another problem with this. So we have installed, okay, we have installed capacity and we have installed, but many of the power plants are not functioning properly. This is the major problem in India, right? And so yeah, so now again you can bifurcate this 24%. So out of that, the 41% share is from the solar power, and maximum share is from the solar photovoltaic energy only, and the 43% for the wind energy, then 11% biopower, then the small hydro is only the 5%. However, there are a lot of scope to increase this value, the 5% and the 11%, right? So this is some state has taken some initiative, and among that this Karnataka is top one. However, the maximum potential is available in the Rajasthan and the Gujarat also, Gujarat, but the Karnataka is topmost in the installation of the solar power, right? So just this is the plan-wise growth of the installed generating capacity in India, in our country. Just look at over there. This is the exponential growth is over there, right? And at the time of independence, the installed capacity in India was only the 1,362, right? And it was very less. And now at the end of the 2030, this value becomes the 2,23,000 megawatt, right? But at the end of the December 2020, it has reached the 3,72,000 or 3,75,000 megawatt. So if suppose someone is saying there is no development occurred at all in the last 70 years, so this is not the right statement. And because power generation is increasing. Why? Because there is reason, because demand is there. And in fact, demand is not from the totally from the domestic side, or not from the domestic side, or not from or totally from the commercial side, commercial building, right? So demand is basically, this is cumulative demand from the agriculture sector, domestic sector, and industry also. Okay, so this is the combined effect. And in fact, if suppose the demand is keeps on increasing, okay, based on that the installed capacity is keeps on increasing. That means somewhere the development is happened. Okay, some developments are there. Just look at the time of independence, it was only the 1,300, but at the end of the 2020, it becomes the 3,75,000. So, and life, you can hear hear the story of your grandfathers and all. What was the situation in the 40-year back or 50-year back or 30-year back? The situation in power. I remember when I was in high school and from UP, a lot of load shedding was there. Okay, but now the situation becomes improved. Okay, so that is big, all because of the power generation. And in fact, and right, yeah, this is another reflection. Just look at over here at the time of independence. This is the per capita energy consumption. So per capita energy consumption is doesn't mean like if suppose in my family over here in the Delhi, we are the 4 member, and suppose 400 kilowatt, so 400 units is our consumption in my house. So so means share is our share is 100 units per month, or say the 1200 units per day, per year, per person. So it is not like that. It is not calculated, but because it is basically calculated based on the total population and total consumption in India, and that includes the industrial. And whatever I'm just, I wear this shirt, and I have this this pant, and this wear this watch, and this is basically the this all activities. Okay, we have to consider while calculating the per capita energy consumption. Okay, and that includes the all kind of the activities, or basically GDP. Okay, GDP based. So fine. Just see at the time of independence, only the 16 kilowatt hour means 16 unit was per capita consumption by the time. But at the end of the 2013, it becomes the 970. Okay, but and at the end of the this December 2020, its value becomes the 1400 kilowatt hour. So just see the how changes are there. This is again the exponential changes. Okay, and on the other hand, I understand, on the other hand, we are the developing country, and as compared to USA, as compared to some European country like the France, Germany, UK. So this value becomes very less, only the 1200 kilowatt hour. And for that, in fact, our population is also responsible, okay, for this poor figure, right? And in for this in, for example, the France, in France or Germany, its value becomes 6,000 to 7,000. The variation between the 6,000 to 7,000. And when we talk about the USA, definitely its value is more than the 17,000, right? 16 or 17,000. So this differential shows the prosperity. Okay, living status. The energy consumption is overall, and one more term is there, the Human Development Index. And Human Development Index is totally, it is the combined effect of the per capita energy consumption, health, literacy, and many more factors are there. Almost the 12, 13, 14 factors are there. So these are the 3 major factors: the literacy, health, and power consumption, per capita energy consumption. Right. So and in fact, and another way, this why we want to go the renewable energies towards the, okay. So another factor, this coal-based power plant. This is basically, this figure is the conventional power distribution. Fine. This is truth for the conventional power plant. Conventional means coal-based power plant. In our India, we almost the 50% of what power generation is coming from the coal-based power plant. So just look at over here. If suppose 3 kilowatt hour, or the one this 10,800 kilojoule is power is supplied in the form of the calorific value of the coal. Okay, this power plant, coal-based power plant, is efficiency is only the 33%. Okay, and this much is losses are there. And this is one more constraint is there as per the second law of the thermodynamics. Some losses must be there. Okay, and in fact, the condenser losses you cannot avoid. Okay, you have the opportunity to recover the waste heat. You have the opportunity to make it more efficient, the turbine, steam turbine. Okay, but the condenser losses within the system, the losses you cannot completely avoid. Those losses must be there as per the second law of the thermodynamics. Okay, otherwise it will be the violation. Okay, so now with the consumption of the 3 kilowatt hour, only the 1 kilowatt hour electricity or the 1 unit production is there, right? And now the transformer and the switchyard losses are there. Okay, so we have to step up, step down, and something we have to. And then the 10-20% losses in India. And in fact, in India, these losses are becomes earlier when this private company, the Tata Power and other distributors are have not come into the picture. So by the time that losses was around the 34%, the transmission distribution loss, lot of theft, electricity theft were there. Okay, so but now now the situation becomes somewhat improved. Okay, so just look at over here, the whatever the production over here at the end at the power plant, it was only the 1 kilowatt hour, and when it reaches to the consumer, it becomes only the 0.72 kilowatt hour. So almost the 28% losses are there. In overall 28% losses. And one more thing I just want to say over here, for production of this 1 kilowatt of electricity over here in the coal-based power plant, we are emitting the 0.99, or you can say 0.99 grams of carbon emission is there. Okay, but if you include these losses, this transformer, because 10% and 20% over here, so the overall for getting the 1 kilowatt over there at the consumer end, we need to emit. We are emitting basically the 1.4, right? 1.4 grams per carbon emission per unit power generation from the coal-based power. So this is the situation. So definitely this is not the good situation regarding our neat and clean environment. Okay, so now yeah, okay, it is there. So emission per unit electricity from the coal-based thermal power plant in India, just see over there, the carbon dioxide is 0.998 kg per kilowatt hour. And however it ranges, because it ranges from the 0.7 to 1.49. That is basically the depends on the technological upgradation. If suppose now most of the power plant have already installed the ESP, okay, electrostatic precipitators, and some other devices are over there, and some other techniques are over there. Means the washing of the coal and pulverization of the coal is there, so that we can effectively use the calorific value, whatever the calorific value is there, the coal that it can be effectively used. Okay, and complete combustion is there, not complete. If suppose complete combustion is there, definitely they will know carbon dioxide emission is there. So means our approach should be this, like this, that there should be the complete combustion. However, that is not possible. Many things are associated with that. Okay, sulfur dioxide 0.08, nitrogen oxide, that you cannot avoid, because at the high temperature, once the temperature is high, more than the 1200 degrees centigrade, the whatever the atmospheric nitrogen, and in atmospheric nitrogen is 78% atmospheric nitrogen is there, okay, in our air. So it becomes oxidation is taking place over there, right? So that we cannot avoid up to, but we can stop some at some level. So soot and SPM, these are some problem with this coal-based power plant. So environmentally, we can, yeah, I was talking about this the human activity require the energy in the broadly different major sectors are there. One is the domestic, it includes the household and the offices, commercial building, transportation sector, agriculture sector, and industrial sector. So these are, so our whatever the energy is producing, whatever the power is producing, that is consumed in these 4 sectors mainly. And definitely, if we compare the situation at the independence time, 1947 to the 2020-21, like even the 20-year back, nobody think about, people generally in nobody means the average medium class family. They generally don't think about the microwave, okay, and convector heater, okay. They generally use this angithi, coal-based angithi, and some cheapest sources, okay. Now our home appliances and more and our huge dependency on the electricity only, and electricity is the most convenient form which can be used in the domestic, commercial, transportation. For example, the metro rail, okay, and now the AC buses are there, okay, air conditioned buses are there, and these are all transport. So the situation in the transport sector is also improved, and now the Delhi, Mumbai, and many metropolitan cities have this good transport facility like the metro, okay. So in the long term, the government has planned in such a way so that the energy consumption, initial investment, no doubt, the initial investment is very high, but these are basically the metro, and for example, the metro, this is the public transport, okay. In the long term, it's after 10 years, definitely it will benefit to us, okay. So payback period at present, because technology, most of the technology we have taken from the other side. I think time. No, time is there. Okay. So now, so this transportation, agriculture, the farm machines, agriculture sector. Okay. So in agriculture sector, earlier in 1960 or 70s, the production, the food production, crops, crop. Madam, can we mute? Yeah.
Dr. Poonam, please mute yourself.
Yeah. So agriculture, in agriculture, as far as concerned with the agriculture sector, just see, urea is there. Urea is very energy intensive product. Lot of energy is consumed for the production of this urea. Fine. And after that, it is subsidized to the these farmers. And of course, it should subsidize. But at the same time, what is happening is soil condition is degrading day by day. And no, and everybody knows about the Punjab. Okay, the one cancer drain is there. Okay, so that is all because of the pollution. So excessive use of the fertilizers. Okay, and solution is the organic fertilizer only that we could use efficiently. But okay, fine. So and the farm machinery, there are a lot of the farm machinery, a lot of process are there. It totally depends on the energy. Right, energy sector. Almost 40% of whatever we consume, it goes to the energy sector, in industry. And in fact, industrial sector development is very necessary for any country. It is for the advancement, modernization. Okay, so it is the power consumption in the industry sector is we cannot stop because we are developing country. Okay, if suppose someone is say you have to stop, you have to reduce your energy consumption. See, we can optimize it, but we cannot reduce. Okay, like USA, Germany, these are developed country. They have already emit lots of the carbon emissions earlier. Okay, but now it is not. So some constraint the carbon credit and some concept has come over there. So I will talk some other time regarding that, the carbon credit and all. So consumption of the more energy in the country indicate the more activity in this sector. That implies the better comfort at the home due to the use of various appliances, better transport facility, more agriculture and industry. Right. So now just have a look on this picture. Here only the 10 countries are there: Bangladesh, Brazil, China, Germany, India, Malaysia, Norway, Pakistan, Turkey, USA. And this is basically the energy uses in industrial sector. Okay, this is the percentage of energy uses in industrial sector. Okay, see, this is red. Okay, China is using almost the 70%, whatever is energy power is produced in China, it's 70% is utilizing for the industrial sector. So we know the world market is captured by the China. All kinds of the product they are supplying in all the country. Okay, some products good, and definitely some products are bad also, and most of the bad products come to the India. Okay, so that is not time to discuss. Okay, so just look at over here in India, we are utilizing the 45%. Okay, the power generation in the industry sector. Just look at our neighbor country, the Bangladesh, and Bangladesh economy is much better than us. Okay, so our economy definitely depends on the industrial development only. Just look at over here. This is the USA. That doesn't mean USA stopped or it reduced its space for the industrial development. No, it is not. But fact is that they are utilizing the energy efficient system. Okay, energy conservation or energy efficient system. Motors, they are the energy efficient motors are utilizing over there. But as far as India is concerned, and in industry also, however, now the situation is improved, but it is not, we cannot say like we are, and in fact the government has started the BEE rating and a 5-star rating and all, and people now aware and they are looking towards this energy efficient appliances and all. Okay, but still we have to think over about the thing energy conservation. Okay, at all the level, whether it is the commercial building or the domestic building or whatever. Okay, so now so on an average, this is the value is around the 30 in worldwide. However, here the 10 country we have taken. If suppose that we take the 50% or 80% country, so value will comes around the 32 to 35% of entire global energy is consumed into the industrial sector. Okay, so and the energy consumption ranges from the 28 is the Germany to the 75. So this is just see the difference. Okay, difference in the energy consumption in the industry level. And of course, so advancement, modernization, economic evolution of any nation in the industry sector, the energy is a fundamental thing. So without energy utilization, you cannot imagine your development. Okay, and improve your status, living status, and all. Okay, this is so now. Yeah, this is very clear-cut picture. Just see over here in my previous slide. Okay, 32 to 35% of entire global energy consumed into the industrial sector. Okay, right. So on this, out of this average, the 32% industrial energy on is like the country on an average we have taken only the 32% of the industrial energy consumption, and out of that 74% of the energy consumption is used to meet the process heat demand. Okay, process heat demand. Right, so in the process heat demand, again there is quality up to some level, up to 150 degrees centigrade, low temperature, medium, low temperature applications in the industry, up to from 150 to 400 medium temperature, and more than the 400 high temperature applications. Right, so energy is consumed accordingly. Right, so now just see this is the bifurcation of the whatever the on an average. Okay, this is the worldwide itself. So 32% is the industrial energy consumption, and 31 is the transportation. See, and 24 is a residential, and 13% is other purposes. Okay, it includes the commercial building and many other things. So now just see this 32% again bifurcated into the low temperature, medium temperature, and high temperature. Okay, see, so low temperature heat is required in overall the 30%, and the medium temperature 22%, and the high temperature 48%. Okay, so this low temperature heat up to the 150 degrees centigrade, in many industry we are utilizing the conventional power, conventional grid power, right? And that this much of 30% of the process heat we can easily replace with the solar thermal technologies. And if in fact the 400 degrees temperature is, we can easily achieve over there. There is no problem. And for more than the for maintaining the more than the 400 degrees centigrade, it is a bit difficult because we have to use the furnace and heliostat type reflectors. Okay, so but up to this 30 plus 22 means the 52% or up to the 400 degrees centigrade, it is we can easily implement. Okay, we can easily implement the solar applications in industrial level, but only we have to take care, some attention is needed over there. Okay, and just look at over here, this, see, in the developing country, the agriculture, textile, pharmaceutical, food processing, dairy, brick industry, these are the important industrial sector. Okay, and drying, dyeing, boiling, washing, sterilization, pasteurization, these are the common, some common processes in the industries. Okay, which are utilizing the process heat application, okay, for utilizing process heat, these are the some applications. Okay, so energy consumption in the steel, glass, ceramic industry, these are the industry where you have to utilize the energy, means the heat energy at very high temperature. The heat energy at very high temperature means in the range of the 1200 degrees centigrade, in the range of the 1700 degrees centigrade. So to achieve the 1700 degree temperature with the help of the solar thermal technology, it is you can say it is not so easy. Okay, but we can easily I have some case study also, but I don't think today we will have much time. So now, so energy consumption in steel, glass, and ceramic industry, around the 13% of the industrial process implement need low temperature thermal energy up to the 100 degrees centigrade, whereas the 27% 200 and exist the rest of them is high temperature. So in overall, you can say 40% of their energy consumption in the process industry, in these industry, the high temperature application industry, we can replace with the solar energy, right? So energy consumption and emissions are directly linked. Of course, the energy consumption, power consumption is there for the development industries and all. And if suppose that energy or that power is produced from the conventional energy source, so definitely emissions will be there. And okay, so therefore increase the energy consumption, release more emission. This is the fact, but we cannot avoid some more time, almost the 70 year or 80 years. We cannot stop our development. Okay, so this as per the IPCC global warming, the most critical existing environmental issue, the eco-efficiency approaches adopt restraining the emission from the overall challenges, and of course the 1/3 of the total global emission released by industrial sector. Fine, almost the 1/3 of the global emission is responsible. The industries are responsible for the 1/3 global emission. Fine, so emissions raised by an average of 1.5 each year during the 1971 to 2004. This is old figure, but the situation is not changes. It is increase only. This figure is becomes 1.5 to 1.8%. Okay, of course, the developments are there. Considering all the environment problems require the renewable resources are now provided. Of course, renewable energy and is only the one solution, and along with the energy conservation to avoid the environmental degradation. So renewable energy sustaining solution for survival of the humankind for the so now, so sustainable development means that without sacrificing our need. Okay, we have to optimize basically. Okay, so we have to balance. So this is a very simple technology, very simple solar thermal energy system. So what is happening? This is over there. If suppose I want to implement in the existing, implement the solar energy application in the existing industry. Okay, and this solar collector. The solar collector is a device. It could be the flat plate collector, the PTC type, it could be the linear functional, and I will show you this different classification. Okay, So, and the choosing of this collector depends on your requirement. What temperature is required and which kind of the applications. Fine. So what is happening over there? Solar radiations are coming in the form of short-wave radiations. Okay. One glass is, if suppose this is the flat plate collector, we put a glass over there. So short-wave radiation, electronic waves are coming and transmitting through this glass and falling at this surface. This is the absorber. This is black and colored absorber. Fine. This one. So at the bottom, this is absorber. Okay. And now, so what will happen after some time? This absorber plate becomes hot, and the energy heat is liberated or emitted from on the surface. So it was when it was striking on this glass surface. Okay, by the time it was the short wave radiation. Now this is after striking over there and converting to the heat, it becomes the infrared radiation or the long wave radiations. And the property, this glass is having such kind of property, it doesn't allow to escape the long wave radiations. So heat is basically trapped over there. This heat is overly trapped over there in between the glass surface and the absorber plate, and there some transporting media should be flow over the surface. It could be the air or water or any other kind of the organic fluid for the power generation. Okay, so there could be the many kind of the arrangements. Okay, so basically this is the concept is basically this whole thing. The collector is totally based on the greenhouse effect. That is what is there. Okay, so glass is having the similar kind of the property like the atmosphere. What is there in atmosphere? The radiations are coming from the solar radiations are coming from the solar sun, passing through the atmosphere and falling on the earth surface. And in earth surface there are different terrains are there, some hills, some there the hills, plains or black. And so in earth surface there is no uniform heating, and 70% of our earth is covered with the ocean only. Fine. So there the surface is different, the color is different, the properties are different. So definitely its absorptivity and emissivity is also different. Fine. So based on that, what is happening? So after striking the solar radiation on the surface, long wave radiations are started emit. Okay, it starts emit. But this blanket of atmospheric layer is there that stop escaping these long wave radiations, so that the temperature of the earth is maintained basically, and we are survival because of this effect only. This is the greenhouse effect, and same thing is happening over there itself. So in the solar thermal devices, and the heat, the solar energy, the electromagnetic waves or the solar short wave radiations are converted into the heat energy, and that heat is transferred to some working fluid. Okay, so here, and of course this is very important unit, the storage tank. And without that, as we know, solar energy, we know this is the intermittent source of energy. Fine. So, and what does it mean? It is available during the daytime and it is not available in the night time. Okay, but your demand is somewhat, it changes from normal day night, but not much change. Okay, in the power consumption as far as concerned the power. So in that case, what happened, whatever the excess of the energy is available, but we are not utilizing that power. Fine. So so in that case, the excessive energy is utilized to store in the storage tank, and it could be used later on whenever it is required. Okay, so now, and in fact, there is two loops. One loop is this one. This is the energy storage is over there. Whatever energy is converted, solar energy converted to heat energy and stored in the storage tank. And this is the pump is there, so that proper circulation is there. Okay, it could be the thermosiphon effect. It could be passive type, or is but in that case, the efficiency doesn't means the utilization of solar energy is much more effective as compared to this active mode. Okay, so now the whatever the heat is stored over there, you can extract through some media, through the pumping itself. Some heat exchanger is implemented over there. Okay, so now the extracted heat you can utilize to boiler. Boiler means that you convert it into the steam, and that steam we can use with the help of to the turbine rotation, so that you will have the mechanical energy. Or what if the mechanical energy is needed, then you can go to this mode, or otherwise that further this mechanical energy can be converted into the electricity by just connect with the alternator shaft with the turbine itself. Okay, so that this electricity can be produced, and whatever the heat rejection is there, if suppose the industry, as I have already shown you in my previous slide, almost 30% requirement is 30% requirement is up to the 150 degree centigrade. Okay, once it's 150 degree centigrade, you can use those heat rejector in those applications, right? Okay, so this is the basically secondary uses, and sometimes this is called the cogeneration. Okay, so cogeneration could be the bottoming type or topping type, and in fact, it is very much effective technology for the cogeneration, or the for make the system, the whole system, energy efficient system, or you can say the energy could be conserved with the help of the cogeneration implementation. Okay, so here are basically if you see the yeah, that I have already discussed. The solar energy can be stored with directly and forming the air and water. Air and water could be there. Okay, that depends on the your. So inflator is the kind of the solar collector. That which kind of solar collector it also have. Okay, storage system, of course, the working flow, capacity system, load factor, location. Location is another very important factor. Okay, because solar radiation varies from this location to that location, and whatever the solar radiation we are getting there in Delhi is not is the same in the northeast. Okay, so we have to design the system accordingly the availability of the solar radiations, right? So now, yes, come to this. So these are the various processes in the industry: the dairy, tin, paper, textile, chemical, meat, beverage, flour, and the byproduct. Okay, timber byproduct, brick, and brick and blocks, plastics. Okay, these are the some industry. Just look at over there. Some of the operations are same. The pasteurization, sterilization, drying. Okay, the same. These are the all the food and beverage industry will have the same. These guys, but in the paper industry, the bleaching is same. Bleaching is also occurred over there. That tin food also. Okay, and the drying is a very common factor. So drying of product paper, drying of the in dairy industry, the food, the milk, the dry milk. Okay, definitely we need some energy. Okay, so so these are the some factor some operations. Okay, like cooking, drying, boiler, and feed water, and bleaching. This in the paper industry, textile, bleaching, drying, fixing, pressing. Chemical industry, soap, synthetic processing, washing, sterilizing, cooking, washing, pasteurization. So just look at it. Okay, and in timber industry, the drying. This drying is basically the you need to remove the moisture, excessive moisture, because if moisture is there, definitely degradation will be there. Microbial growth will be there. Okay, so because of that microbial growth, if some food is there or timber there, definitely it will start, degradation will start. So we have to maintain the moisture content in certain product. Okay, and this is the thermal diffusion, beam, drying, the preparation, distillation, separation, extension, drying, and plastic industry. So just, and you will not believe the most of these process occurred below the 220 degrees centigrade. Okay, so and to achieve the 220 degrees temperature through the solar thermal application is not a big task. Okay, we can easily achieve the temperature, because I came to know some students are there, so I kept this in my talk is very fundamental. Okay, so the solar energy utilization, just see the solar photovoltaic. This is the direct power energy, power conversion, electrical energy. Okay, solar energy, so solar radiation to the solar photovoltaic. This direct energy conversion process is there. through the solar photovoltaic cells, and the energy to the solar thermal collector. Okay, so when the heat energy is required, definitely solar thermal collectors are there. Various kinds of solar collectors are, and another combination of the solar photovoltaic and solar thermal collector. So why this combination is needed? Because and you people are from the physics, and most of them you are from the physics only. So what happens is in the solar photovoltaic cell, once the temperature keeps on rising, if suppose the temperature is more than the 25 degrees centigrade, its performance is start decreasing. Okay, the efficiency, the conversion efficiency of the solar photovoltaic systems is reducing as we increase the temperature. Okay, so like in that way, if suppose the solar photovoltaic modules is cooled. Okay, so this is a combination. The hybrid collector is a combination solar photovoltaic and the thermal energy. So, and this the hybrid collectors, these are, you will not believe the individual efficiency. If solar photovoltaic module in the real application, I'm not talking about the lab. In the lab, 48% efficiency has been achieved. Okay, during the characterization of the solar photovoltaic lab in the physics. Okay, but in the real situation, in the real life, there are many things, many ambient parameters are there which affect its performance. Okay, so in real sense, its efficiency cannot go beyond the 12 to 14%. Okay, but on the other hand, solar thermal collector efficiency is around 65%, 60%. You can consider 60%. Okay, by combining these two systems, the solar photovoltaic system and solar thermal collectors, you can achieve the efficiency in the range. Why muting me? Please don't mute me. Yeah. So so now this combination of the solar photovoltaic system and solar collector, this is the hybrid collector, and the photovoltaic PVT system, and this is a simple PVT system, and this is concentrated solar photovoltaic system. This is concentrated. So solar radiations are concentrated through some lenses. Okay, so this is another technique at that time, but temperature becomes very high. So sometimes hot spots are generated in the solar photovoltaic modules. This is also not so. In that way, you can find you are cooling this solar photovoltaic modules. Okay, cooling through the air. It could be the air, it could be the water, and some other fluid. Okay, so accordingly, so heat energy, whatever the heat energy is you are extracted, that you can utilize in your thermal purpose, and the direct energy, solar radiation to the electrical energy conversion is there. So electrical. So accordingly, the electrical and the thermal energy you can achieve with the help of PVT or the CPV system. Okay. So this is very good technology. Professor Tapas Malik is working there in the XUTI. He's doing a good work. You can refer to his work. Okay. Okay. So now next is, yeah, let us talk about some collectors. Okay, this is basically this. When we talk about the solar thermal application, solar thermal system, solar thermal technology, this is basically, you can consider this is the heart of the system, because all the conversion of the solar radiation into the heat energy is taking place through these devices. Okay, so solar thermal collector, these are the non-concentrated type or the concentrated. Okay, point focusing or non-point focusing, sometimes it is called. Okay, so non-concentrating type collectors comes the flat plate collector, compound parabolic collector, the evacuative collector. This is the non-concentrating type collector. And non-concentrating type collector can achieve the temperature in the range of the 250 or 240 degrees centigrade. Okay, but this much of power, this much of temperature is not sufficient for the power generation. I'm not talking about the low temperature Rankine organic Rankine cycle. Low temperature organic Rankine cycle can operate within with the help of the flat plate or compound or the evacuated. Okay, but I'm talking about this power generation, the steam turbine. Okay, if suppose the power generation through the steam turbine, definitely you need to concentrate the solar radiation with the help of parabolic tuff collector I will show you all the pictures. What is the parabolic trough collector, linear fractional collector, parabolic dish, central receiver, and all. So, and there are merits and demerits of these systems. And these, with the help of this system, definitely you can achieve a very high temperature. Means up to 240 degrees and temperature is there. Flat plate collector only 60 to 80 degree. This parabolic trough collector 120, and evacuator type sometimes it ranges from the 180 to 200 degrees centigrade. Okay, so in that sense, and if suppose some commercial application is required a temperature of the higher than the 400 degrees centigrade, and steam of the steam of temperature 400, 450 and all, so then definitely you need to implement this parabolic trough technology, linear fractional and parabolic dish. And this parabolic dishes, through this you can achieve the temperature in the range of 1200 degrees centigrade also. Okay, furnace. For solar furnace, we generally use this kind of this. And the central receiver heliostatic field reflector, this is the CSP system, concentrated solar power system, concentrated solar power generation system. We for that this kind of particular technology we use over there. Okay, so and let me just, so higher temperature efficiency is achievable when the working fluid can attain the higher temperature in the concentrating system due to the smaller amount of heat loss. Yes, a smaller amount of heat loss is there because of that as compared to this. And the concentrating collector are economical. This is economical in terms of the solar collection area. Solar collection area is very less as compared to this. Okay, so the material cost we can reduce because reflecting surface require less material, and cost per unit area on the solar collecting surface concentrating is less than the non-concentrating. Okay, these are some benefits. And some losses are also there. So what are the losses? Basically, this kind of the system can work. See, in the solar radiation have the two parts. One is the diffuse radiation, another one is the beam radiations. Okay, so this non-concentrating collectors can work in the both kind of the systems. Even though the cloudy weathers are there, but the flat plate collector is there, then definitely you will get some hot water. And the temperature of the water is more than the whatever the ambient temperature is there. Okay, so there the diffuse radiation can be utilized, but in case of the concentrating collector, only the beam radiation. And sometimes you might have noticed the DNI. Okay, DNI, direct normal radiations. This is a very important term for the CSP system, for the concentrated solar power. Okay, so that system can work only when the DNI, sufficient DNI is there. So this is one of the limitations. So degradation of the reflectance, this is because reflectance of the solar surface degrades with the time, and the periodic cleaning is required. In this case, the periodic cleaning is required because otherwise it will not reflect the completely the solar radiation over the absorber. Okay, so these are some fundamental, we have to be very careful about this. Now, just look at over there, this is a flat plate collector. Okay. Madam, you please stop me whenever you want. Okay. Otherwise, I will continue. Or otherwise, if suppose some questions, or let me finish it within the 5 minutes, then we can have some interaction with the students. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, what shall I do? Just wind up within the 5 minutes, and then we can have discussion.
Yes, sir. You can take your time. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you want to take.
Okay. Okay, fine. So just see, this is a flat plate collector. This picture is over there. The flat plate collector very common, and you might have seen in Delhi. The almost all the hotels, all the hospitals, they are spread it. This flat plate, either the flat plate collector or the evacuator type collectors. Okay, for their heat energy purposes. So they are these are glass surface, one glass, single glazing, double glazing, and in fact it could be the 3 glazing, but definitely this glazing is to reduce the convection losses. Okay, so if suppose the convection losses, and these are the some tubes through which and this is the absorber, and absorber plate is attached with this tubes. Some tubes are there, the air or water can be utilized with there, and this is insulated over there, and you can use some insulation, the glass wool, ceramic wool, whatever. Okay, so such kind of system can give you the temperature of water up to 65 degrees centigrade. Okay, so And this is another technology, compound parabolic collector. Of course, glass is there, and what is happening? The solar radiation falling on this surface and falling at any surface, but it is concentrating on this absorber. This is absorber tube. Okay, and over there this is reflector, and this is of course the much more higher temperature can be attained with the help of this system. And this is the evacuator type collector. This evacuator type collector is having the two concentric tubes are there. Okay, in some vacuum is we create the vacuum over there so that the heat loss could be minimized. This is another technology, parabolic tuff collector. This is parabolic tuff. This is the absorber over there. Okay, and the fluid is flow in and flow. So, and this is the linear fractional reflector. Okay, in the linear fractional reflector also used in the power generation. This is a parabolic reflector. With the help of this technology, you can achieve the temperature of around the 1000 to 1200 degrees centigrade, and a heliostatic, and even the more than that, the 1800 you can achieve. And this is the another power generation technology, the heliostatic field reflector. Heliostatic collectors, field reflectors are placed over there. Of course, you need a large area. Okay, huge area is required over there, and this is the reflected over there. This is sunlight is directly reflected over there. Okay, so you find and in fact, yeah, this is very important. So just see, typical type of FPC means the flat plate collector, CPC compound parabolic collector. This is evacuator type collector. This is absorber type collector. Absorber is a surface where the radiations are absorbed over there. In the flat plate collector, this is a flat plate, and this CPC is the tubular type. Okay, this is concentration ratio is very important factor. What is that? The concentration ratio is the ratio of the area of incoming aperture to the absorbing surface area, right? So as the absorbing surface area is less, its value of the concentration ratio becomes more. Okay, but in case of the flat plate collector, what is the flat plate collector? The area of the absorbed plate, receiving surface and transporting surface. Okay, radiation is receiving on the flat plate, and also the same surface is being used for the transporting the heat to the working fluid. So this area is same. Okay, so because of that, in the FPC is 1. In ETC also it is 1 only, but the CPC it could increase. Okay, because as compared to receiving area, the absorbed surface area is less. And just you see, as the value is increasing from 1 to 5, its temperature keeps on increasing. So FPC flat plate collector, you can achieve up to the temperature of the 80 degrees centigrade. That also depends on the material, which kind of materials is being used and what the design. Okay, the ETC is up to 200 degrees centigrade and CPC up to the 240. So now just to look at over here. So now the overall typical temperature of PTC parameter collector, linear fractional collector, parameter disk, heliostatic. So just find this absorber type, tubular point type. Okay, when the point type is there, then definitely concentration ratio becomes higher, and the concentration ratio keeps on increasing from the left to right side over there. The temperature range, just look at over the PTC 300, maximum temperature, LFR 250, PTC 500, and the LFR is up to the 2000 degrees centigrade temperature you can achieve the help of heliostatic type reflector. Fine. So yeah, when we talk about the industrial application, then definitely I must tell you this system. The solar collector is there. This is the boiler. The same thing. This collector could be any kind of a collector: parabolic tuff collector, flat plate collector, evacuator type collector, PRO, dish, or LFR, HFR. So that depends on which kind of the application is there. Okay, so whatever the heat is stored in the boiler, this is directly using. So this is directly. If suppose okay, so in the boiler, can the process 1, process 2, process 3 depends on the different processes out there. So like in that way you can implement. Fine. So solar thermal collector integration, solar energy, heat demand, solar water heating, district heating, solar refrigeration, solar desalination, solar heat industrial process. So these are some applications. Okay. So because the time is very less, so I would just want to conclude with the help of this slide. Okay, so this is the industrial demand by the temperature range of solar process heat applications. So different process heat applications are there. I think okay, I will improve this. I will make new one so that you can easily it can be easily. So I'm just reading over there. There are different industry: dairy, tin, paper, textile, chemical, meat, beverage, flour, timber, brick, oil refinery, and plastic. See, different processes are there: the pasteurization, distillation, drying, concentration, distillation, so these all activities, pasteurization 80°, distillation in case of dairy, okay, distillation 120°, drying drying is taking place 180°, concentration takes place at the 80°. For this application, definitely the maximum CPC is fulfilled. If CPC is there, this is fulfilled for all these temperature demand that can be fulfilled with this help of this. Okay, tin food, like in this way, if you could able to see over there, so maximum in the dairy industry, the maximum application is taken place at 180 degrees temperature. Tin food, again the 120. Paper industry, the maximum bleaching, drying, and all 150 centigrade or sometimes 160 also. Some drum drying and then direct drying is there. Then we can have the high temperature drying. Textile industry, just see over there 180 degrees temperature. Chemical industry, soap, synthetic process, and all washing, or not more than the 200 degrees centigrade. Meat and beverage, the 100-degree. Beverage, again the 70 to 60 to 70 degree. Flour, byproduct, timber is not more than the 170 degree. The preparation of the pulp is over there. Okay, so oil and refinery industry 220 degrees centigrade. So the application in overall, it is not much more than the 250 degree centigrade for the process heat. Basically, I'm talking about the process heat applications. So process heat is utilized in these kind of the different industrial process, and you can directly implement the solar thermal devices, right? So you can have belief on the solar thermal technology that could also fulfill whatever the desired temperature in the industrial process, the industrial process heat applications. Fine. So because time is not there, otherwise I would want to because the topic is the energy efficient innovation and application. So recently we have done one work. This system is basically, because I have to talk some innovation, also some applications. Okay, so otherwise it will be incomplete. So this system is basically we have designed for the drying purpose. Okay, its name we have given, and in fact one more patent is we are going to file based on this system. So heat exchanger is there. Heat exchanger evacuated tape assisted drying system. Okay, this heat exchanger means over there some heat exchangers are there. Okay, this is a drying tray over there. Okay, this is a drying tray. At the bottom the heat exchanger, and whatever the material to be dry, you can keep spread over there on the surface. You can see, and easily two tray are visible over there. Okay, and water is flowing over there. In the evacuate type collector, you can achieve the temperature in the range of the 100 degrees centigrade. Okay, 190 or 120 degrees centigrade, you can easily achieve the temperature. Fine. So the water is recirculated through the heat exchanger, and over there heat exchanger, the wire mesh trays are placed over the heat exchanger, and in fact the wire mesh tray, the pulp or the vegetable or whatever the product to be dry is placed over there. And this is the basically greenhouse structure. This is the this is the polythene, the conventional type polythene we have used. Okay, but however, to make it more effective, the polycarbonate sheet we can use. Definitely, polycarbonate sheet has a much more good transmissivity. Okay, so transmissivity is very high in case of this, and this now, right? And this is basically drying system. Okay, so heat exchanger put over there to exchange the heat, the water is flowing over there, and this is one loop. I will show you another. And solar photovoltaic module we have used. This is a solar, and this is used to run these DC fan. And in fact, this is a large dryer. and hot and humid air is there. Okay, inside the once when the drying is taking place, in drying, what is there? Moisture, whatever the moisture contained in the fruit or the vegetable, it start evaporate. Okay, then you need to drag out continuously, otherwise the drying will not take place. Okay, however the temperature you are increasing, but the moisture content is there, the relative humidity is very high, the 100% humidity, even though the temperature is increasing, but drying will not take place. And in fact, on the other hand, it will spoil the product also. So you need to drag out the hot and humid air continuously. Okay, so this is the kind of self-sustainable system, drying system, and it will be very useful technology. And we have done uh, uh, yes, we have done some experiment and published one paper recently. One paper is accepted in the solar this storage was product. One elsewhere journal is there recently. It is, and it is about to online. Okay, so this is our innovation, recent innovation. However, we have done the one greenhouse patent we have. Okay, yeah, you can see this is easily visible. Now this is the greenhouse structure. Two trays are there, and the water. This is the rotameter. The flow you can maintain. Okay, this the flow walls are there. The water is flowing over there. Okay, one storage. This is the storage tank there, and you can bypass it. This is, and from the DC fan, this is like in this way. Okay, this is flowing like this is water in and this is water out. Fine. So like in that way, the solar photovoltaic models are there. Is the whole drying system, the schematic view of the heat exchanger, evacuated tube assisted drying system. Okay, and this is another schematic view. The picture is more clear. This is the for inlet air, that this space is kept over there. Okay, so fresh air is coming. Fresh ambient air is coming. This this passage. This passage is what the three sides. This side and this side and this side. This is the east-west. Okay, this is the east-west orientation. Yeah. Okay, and on the rooftop, photovoltaic modules are placed. 4 photovoltaic modules we have kept over there. Okay, the same system you can use the forced convection mode and the natural convection mode also. If suppose the high moisture content crop is there, then definitely the this DC fan need to run over there. If suppose the low temperature moisture content crop like the grains and groundnuts and soya bean and some cereals are there, then definitely you no need to run this DC fan. Because the heat is means hot and humid air can be drag out through the thermosiphon effect of the passive conditions. Okay, so yeah, this is another design parameter and all. And for the performance calculation, you can use the drying rate, moisture ratio, equilibrium, moisture content. So I think, and you can do some analysis, and like we have done solar character efficiency, you can easily this is the water heating, the heat and temperature difference. IG is the radiation falling on the surface area. This thermal efficiency, overall thermal efficiency of the system, and this is the exergy analysis. You can do energy exergy analysis. Like we have done this, and in fact, the whatever the dried product, we have dried the garlic basically, and the this color indices and the hardness, contraction, increase factor. These are very important factor for the quality aspects. Okay, so that we can do, and some results are there, but time is not much more, and I think another speaker might be waiting because I have taken already 10 minutes more. Okay, so if suppose some questions, your queries are there, then definitely I would be happy if I could answer you. Okay, so now what to do? Yes, yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, madam.
Thank you, sir, for giving your insight into this very important topic of solar thermal energy applications and giving us a very clear picture of the existing and projected picture of amount of energy available from various renewable energy sources. Sir, we have a lot of questions from the participants. So
yes.
So I'm going to read them out. Sir, one question is being asked by Vani Tiwari from BSc Honors Physics, 3rd year, and she has asked that why is solar power still not widely popular even when it is environment friendly?
So actually, there are many applications of the solar in the domestic level. They like the solar cookers are there, solar drying system, solar water heating. But you will see a solar water heating system application is widely people are accepting now. The hotels, the commercial, and in fact, for the water heating system, it is fine. For cooking, basically, if suppose the example for the solar cooker, it takes some time. Simple box type cooker, solar cookers we are using, and if like you can keep start in the morning and you can take boiled rice, boiled this lentil rice, and the boiled potato, boiled egg, that you can do. And the basically see the question is the why it is not so popular and why the people are not accepting this, because as you know, solar energy is basically diluted. Okay, that means the radiations, whatever the radiations available, and you need to convert it to utilizing means the utility. You need a large space. Okay, and some patience is required. But in case and sometimes what happened, and use regular cleaning of the glass surface. If suppose the flat wheel corrector is there, I used to see over there in our DTU, and this solar photovoltaic modules are spread all over, and you will not believe 400 kilowatts we are generating. But yesterday I went there in the rooftop to just see some my lab is establishing. Okay, so I saw there a lot of dust is deposited over there. Okay, if suppose dust is there, definitely it is hindrance for the radiations. Okay, whatever the radiations are, first, as I told you, that the efficiency of solar photo modules is very less in the real sense, not more than the 14%, 16, 14, 13, 14, 14%. Okay, and now their deposition of the because of our geographical condition, we are a lot of fine dust particles are there. They used to deposit, and we need to what is called clean it properly. Okay, and first thing is we have to set our mind. Okay, we have to accept it, because this ultimately one day this will be only the solution. Okay, so popularity, one more factor is there, our willingness. Okay, so this is fine. I agree with you. The solar energy is available during the daytime only. If suppose you implement this storage system, then definitely it is much more effective. Okay, so like in that way we can do. So
okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
I guess she has asked another question also, that is there any research happening in the field of reducing the cost of solar panels and reducing the size of the panels? So I hope you have given hint in your answer. So
cost is, madam, already reduced now. See, almost the 15-year back, the for installation of the 1 megawatt plant was the 17 crores. Now it becomes the 3 crores only. It is equivalent to the coal-based power plant, right? So now the cost constraint, especially for the solar photovoltaic systems, is not there.
okay, thank you, sir.
Yes.
So there is a question asked by another student, Simrat Kaur of first year physics honors. She's asking that how can we, the students as future of India, can contribute in energy saving in a practical manner?
Energy saving in practical manner. So it is already implemented in many ways, like the energy efficient electric motors are there. Okay, and in fact, transmission distribution losses you can reduce there also. Okay, there are a lot of opportunity in India, especially. I'm not talking about the developing country. Their transmission distribution losses are almost not more than the 5%, but in India there. So, and in fact, if suppose for enhancement of the energy efficiency, especially for the thermal system, the insulation works. And if suppose as far as concerned with the passive building architecture and all, so the proper orientation, that is building in our commercial building, we want to save the energy. So proper orientation should be there. Some insulation, double glazing, that will affect very much. These are the very small things. Okay, at the time of designing the commercial building, if we start this, they start thinking like how to reduce the losses. And in fact, in any building, if losses are reduced, it will work in the winter as well as the summer itself. Okay, because the heat losses will not be there. And during the summer, what happened? The heat losses, the heat is transferred from the ambient to the inside, and during the winter, from outside inside to outside. So insulation works very well. So madam, what was the question?
So the question was that how the students can contribute towards energy saving.
Student can contribute for the building simulation, energy efficient building simulation, and you can design the solar these low temperature application, medium temperature solar thermal based application in the better manner. You can means the optimize the operating parameter, design parameter. In that way, you can do this. Or and the fabrication of the system with the indigenous and the low cost and all. However, the cost is already being very reduced. Okay, right.
Thank you so much, sir. And so there is one more question from Smridhi Chawla. She has asked that solar panels do not work at night and they are dependent on battery banks. But battery banks themselves are made up of non-stable materials. So
see, battery now that problem is now no more, because grid connected solar photovoltaic systems are there in our DTU. The 400 kilowatts, more than the 400 kilowatts we are producing over there and directly feed into the grid. Okay, no need to utilize any battery bank. In case of you can directly connect it, and in fact the Gujarat government and many government have already implemented this. So directly you can. Earlier this was the problem with the grid connection, because if suppose the frequency is a little bit divergent of the frequency, there are a lot of problems and directly impact on the grid. But now the systems are more very sophisticated system and very efficient system. This some devices and some technology are there. So even I remember in my sister's house what the capacity of this solar photovoltaic system in the Baroda. They are feeding. This is the smart metering systems are there. Okay, so whatever the power is produced, they are directly feeding into the grid, and you are utilizing the conventional energy, and this will directly minus. Okay, so that is also battery problem is not more in case of this.
Thank you so much, sir. So there is one more question from Dr. Ritu from Department of Physics, Maitrey College, and it is regarding the solar thermal conversion system that you have shown in one of your slides. Sir, she's asking that in the solar collector, what is the material of coating?
Coating, madam, there are many kind of the coatings are there. Definitely, our aim is to enhance its transmissivity, and transmissivity in the order of reflector coating or the absorber coating. There are two kinds of coatings are there. In the reflector coating, we need to enhance our and in fact, however the technology is already been what is called saturated. Okay, almost in commercially available the transmissivity in the range of the 0.98 of the factor itself is available there, and the absorptivity. Some scopes are there in the to find the material which has the absorptivity, low cost material which having the absorptivity of in the range of the 0.99 or like that. Okay, so however some losses are there, so perfect material is not there. Okay, so some scope, definitely some scopes is there to develop some material, but and in fact in energy most of the research is going on into the development of the materials. Because what happened in the high temperature material start decaying, oxidation starts for the higher, like the power generation, solar concentrated solar power. So at that high temperature, we should have some material which can sustain at the high temperature, right? So that scope is always there for the development of the energy efficient materials, okay, which can sustain at the high temperature, okay, at the temperature of the furnace, like in that way. So yeah.
Yeah, there's one related question related to the same solar thermal conversion system, that the pump that is being used over there, is it working with electricity? And if so, then what is the efficiency of the electricity produced. There is a pump which is used in that diagram, sir. So
in our
what is the
system,
efficiency
in
of
our
that
developed system, madam.
in the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
solar thermal conversion system?
Oh, solar thermal conversion system. One pump is there for the recirculation. For active system, these are basically for some external device we are using. So then the system is known as the active system. And if suppose system is working on the thermosiphon effect, then it is known as the passive. So of course that pump could be the DC pump could be there. You can utilize the DC pump, and that could run with the help of the directly with utilizing some electronic devices. You can directly utilize from the solar photovoltaic module or the DC power itself, because solar photovoltaic modules produce the DC power. So DC pumps are available, and DC pumps definitely now the very efficient pumps are there. Okay, and if suppose you want to use the AC, definitely some more conversion device, some solar charge controller, then other some system, the inverter, some other systems are required. Okay, but directly you can use
Okay.
for
Thank you,
pumping
sir.
irrigation purposes. The solar pumping systems are there, and the MNRE they can utilize. And in fact, the cost is not much high. The government of India also giving a lot of subsidy for the promoting this solar pumping systems. And many in Punjab, Haryana, and many people over there have already accepted this technology. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving so detailed answers and listening to us very patiently. Though we have a lot of questions in the chat box, but due to lack of time, we cannot address all the questions. So I just wind up this question answer session, and thanks again, sir. Thanks
Yeah,
a lot.
thank you, madam, for calling me over here once again. Thank you very much, all the organizing team. Dr. Himanshu, I can see Dr. Himanshu is also waiting from the long time. Sorry, very sorry, Dr. Himanshu. I have taken your time, but anyway, thank you very much. We will meet some other time. Madam, please continue this series, lecture series, and I can join in future also. Thank you very much. So may I leave now?
So thank you, sir. Now I just invite Dr. Neelam to deliver vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Shikha. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
I'm extremely grateful to Dr. Anil Kumar for delivering such a wonderful lecture. Truly, your in-depth knowledge of the subject is commendable. It gave deep insights into the topic and also revealed some interesting facts about National Solar Mission and renewable power installed capacity. The audience has filled the chat box with lots of appreciation. Sir, after hearing from you, we can appreciate your appearance in the most cited number of information systems researchers featured in the world ranking of top 2% scientists created by Stanford University 2020 and in AD Scientific Index 2021 World Scientist and University Ranking 2021. We thank you, sir, from the core of our hearts. Thank you, Dr. Anil Kumar.
Thank you, Dr. Neelam. Thank you very much for calling me over here. We should not wait.
Sir, we would like to take photograph. So
Yeah.
I would request all the participants to switch on their cameras so that we can have a photograph with both our speakers.
Just give me a moment. Okay, Mansi ma'am, it's done.
Thank you everyone.
So,
I
madam,
would, yeah.
now
yes,
may I leave now?
Yes, sir. You can leave.
You
Otherwise, you can stay to hear our next
thank you,
speaker.
madam. Definitely, we will meet some other time.
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I would again request Dr. Parul to introduce the second speaker of today's webinar, Dr. Himanshu Fulara.
Thank you, Dr. Mansi. It's a great pleasure to have my fellow colleague, Dr. Himanshu Fulara, with us. Dr. Himanshu Fulara is currently working as an assistant professor in the Department of Physics, IIT Roorkee. He obtained his MSc from Kumaon University, Nainital, and received his PhD degree on the topic Exchange-Biased Magnetic Thin Films from IIT Delhi. Dr. Himanshu has worked as postdoctoral fellow in different renowned institutes like Max Planck Institute of Microstructure Physics in Germany and in University of Gothenburg, Sweden for 5 years. He has also been a visiting researcher at NAN-OS AB Kista, Sweden. His broad area of research is applied spintronics and nanomagnetism, neuromorphic computing, and magnonics. His current research focuses on spintronic nano-oscillator devices to facilitate their implementation in a wide range of applications, ranging from microwave signal generators, injectors to ultra-fast neuromorphic computing schemes, and beyond CMOS spin wave technology. He has published and co-authored more than 20 research papers in peer-reviewed international journals. His recent 4 breakthrough demonstrations have appeared in Nature and Science journals. In addition, he has presented more than 25 papers at national and international conferences, including 10 invited talks. May I now request Dr. Himanshu to address our participants. Over to you, Dr. Himanshu.
Okay, can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, so thank you, Parul, for this nice introduction. And good morning to everyone. And thank you, students, for tuning in. And thank you, Professor Dhingra, for this invitation for this talk. So let me just share my screen. So I think you can see my screen now, right?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, and let me just okay. Okay, congratulations, students, for this national webinar on energy efficient innovations and applications. And I particularly liked your word scintillation. This is my favorite word. So I really like this theme of your webinar. And so let me start. So as you already know, the title of my talk is Towards Energy Efficient Spin-Based Data Storage and Computing. So let me start my presentation with a short question to all of you, and you can answer. Wait a minute. Okay. Yeah. So let me ask a short questions to everyone, and I have opened my chat box to see your answers if you can answer. So it's a very simple questions to all of you, just to engage you in this talk. So my questions to all of you is how many of you are using spintronic devices? So you can write your answer in the chat box, if you can. Yeah, please write your Smriti Chawla. Yeah, please write your answer in the chat box. Yeah, my question is how many of you are using spintronic devices? So you all are using electronic devices, but my question is how many of you are using spintronic devices? No. Okay, so Dr. Poonam Jain has written no, and so Kausalya has written yes, and Smriti Chawla has written they are yet to come in the market. Okay, so Raja Heather Rizvi has written no. Mohammad Raqibul Islam has written no. Okay, so let me rephrase my questions in this way. So how many of you are using computer which are made after 1998, let's say? I think the answer to this question is yes, right? So if you are using computer, then you are definitely using spintronic devices in your computers. So now let me close my chat box. So this is basically the motivation of this talk, that we all are using spintronic devices, but most of us are unaware of this fact that we are using the spintronic devices. So now let me go to the second and my next slide. Yeah. So if you look at the if you look at the modern electronic industry which you are using, so in all electronic devices, they basically use the charge of the electron to process the information, to store and to process the information. But if you I don't know whether you are aware or not, but if you are aware of this Moore's law, Moore is basically he's the founder of the Intel. He was the founder of the Intel. So he basically proposed a empirical law, and according to this law, the number of transistors on a silicon chip roughly doubles about every 2 years. So every 2 years, the demand of the transistors in a silicon chip doubles. To be precise, in every 18 months, but we can say it every 2 years. So and basically, if you look at the evolution of our transistor technology over the years, so this image which I have shown here in my slide is basically image taken from the IMEC, Belgium. So it's a very leading company in this data storage industry. So if you look at this field effector transistor devices in 2003, the size of the field effect transistor device is 90 nanometer in 2003, and in the following years, this size consistently reduces to 65 nanometer in 2005, to 45 nanometer in 2007, to 32 nanometer, and now at 2017, the size of the field effect transistor which is used in our data storage devices is about 10 nanometer. Now the question is, what is next? Can we go beyond 10 nanometer? Well, the answer is yes, because as they say in the technology, the imagination is the only limit. But the fabrication beyond 10 nanometer is not that straightforward, because there are a lot of problems. So these problems are basically, the first problem is the overheating. So because if you miniaturize devices, then the heating problem increases as you go beyond 10 nanometer or even at 10 nanometer. The second limitation is the excessive design cost. Basically, if you fabricate devices, very nanoscale devices, let's say 3 nanometer or 7 nanometer. So I just took this statistics from the Google. So for a 3 nanometer device costs 4 billion to 5 billion in the process development. And also, if you want to fabricate devices of beyond 10 nanometer, the conventional lithography technique doesn't work. So you need extreme ultraviolet based lithography technique to fabricate devices beyond 10 nanometer. So these limitations basically brought scientists' attentions to the fundamentals of the magnetism. So if you see the electrons in the electronic industry, we only utilize the charge of the electron. So basically everything is about electrical current, that is called charge current also. So but electron has, in addition to its electrical charge, it has a property called spin, and we all are aware of this property. And this electron can have a spin up when the north pole pointing up and this north pole pointing down. So it has spin up and a spin down states. And so in a way, every electron behaves as a tiny magnet. So now you know that the electronic industry does not use this property of the spins. But if you look at the advantages of the spin has many advantages over its electrical charge. For example, spin can be manipulated by the polarized light, while the charge cannot. And spin is more robust to the external perturbations. And the most importantly, the spin-based devices, they combine logic and storage functionality all together. So basically, you don't need a separate components. Also, you will see in this talk later, in my later part of the talk, but the possibility of using a spin basically leads to the dissipation-less operation of devices. And another important feature of these spin-based devices is that they are non-volatile. Now, if you are not aware of non-volatility is a concept basically that is an additional functionality of the device that gives you, for example, the information is still retained even if the power is switched off. So, for example, if you look at the computers nowadays, they are volatile computers, but the spin gives you an additional functionality to produce non-volatile computers. Also, the binary spin polarization, basically spin up and spin down state, that gives you the possibility of quantum bits, which are used in the quantum computers. So there are lots of advantages of using a spin over its electrical charge, over the charge. So if you combine both electronics and magnetism, that gives rise to a new technology that is called spintronics. So the basic elements of these spintronic devices are basically spin valves and the magnetic tunnel junctions. These are the basic elements, and why I'm saying these are the basic elements, because in the majority of the spintronic devices, these basic elements are used. And what are these elements? These are very simpler structures. Two ferromagnetic layers separated by a non-magnetic spacer layer. Now, the non-magnetic spacer layer can be a metallic layer, then it is called spin valves, and if it is an insulating layer, then it is called magnetic tunnel junctions. Now, why I am emphasizing on these two devices? Because if you will see in the later part of my talk that these devices, these basic elements, have revolutionized our electronic industry. So in our hard drive read heads, which you have, if you look at this photo, these read heads are based on these spin valves. And another important device which has not been realized experimentally yet, but it's a very good proposition, that is spin field effect transistor, where the transport takes place in terms of the spin. And you see the advantages of these spintronic devices is basically because spin is very fast to flip, then the switching speed is very fast. Low power consumption, you will see in the later part of my talk that I will show you some devices which consume very less power. Non-volatility, which I have just explained, that the power is still retained, the information is still retained even if the power is switched off. And basically this adding spin in the electronics basically allows you the possibility to scale down your devices, basically. And that's why if you see over the last 10 to 20 years, you have very small devices. Look at your iPhones and look at your Android phones, smartphones, and your computers. They have been if you look at their elements inside these computers, they have been scaled down to a very narrow dimensions, basically. So now for a better picture, in order to give you a better picture of this spintronics, I have divided my talk in 3 parts. So I will first talk about spintronic 1.0. So spintronic 1.0 deals with giant magnetoresistance effect, tunnel magnetoresistance effect, and hard drives, the evolution of the hard drives over the years, and the MRAM. MRAM is basically magnetic random access memory. So if you look at these two gentlemen in the photo, they are Peter Grunberg on the left and Albert Fert at the right. So they have been awarded this Nobel Prize for their discovery of giant magnetoresistance effect in 2007. And 2007 was the year when I passed my master's. So it was a good motivation to do the research at that time. So let us first understand what is this buzzword magnetoresistance effect and why this effect is so important. So it's a very simple effect, and I think most of you have already read about this effect, or maybe you will read this effect in your master courses. So magnetoresistance is basically that changing electrical resistance of any ferromagnetic material under the application of the magnetic field. So if you see here, this is the magnetoresistant response I have recorded in a nickel iron, which is called permalloy film of 10 nanometer during my PhD. So you see that when the current is perpendicular to the magnetic field, applied magnetic field, So I have a very large magnetoresistive response at very low field. And however, if my current is parallel to the magnetic field, applied magnetic field, the response is completely opposite. And why this happens? This happens because of this alignment of the electronic orbital with respect to the applied magnetic field, which I have shown here. So basically, for the parallel configuration, the scattering is very high, and for the perpendicular configuration, the scattering is very less. So you have a very less resistance. So basically, you have a change in the resistance under the application of the magnetic field. So till 1980, this effect was well known, but this effect was very small. So if you see here in this photo, in this image, for a permalloy of 10 nanometer film, my magnetoresistive response is even less than 1%, which is very less. But these two gentlemen, which I have named in my previous slide, these two gentlemen had a very different idea at that time. So in 1988 and 1989, both groups, Peter Grunberg group at Germany and Albert Fert group at France, they both basically did the similar experiments. And what they did basically, they said, if we bring two ferromagnetic layers very close to each other, although they are separated by a non-magnetic spacer layer. So here I have shown here, this is chromium. So Albert Fert group used this chromium between two ferromagnetic layers iron. So they used two ferromagnetic layers iron and then separated by chromium layer. So what they have observed during 1980s or late 80s, I would say, late 90s, you can say. So what they have observed is that when two ferromagnetic layers are brought together, separated by a very thin chromium layer, the magnetoresistance effect dramatically. It increases dramatically. And here, if you see in this picture, this is the photo which I have taken from Albert Fert's paper in 1988. The magnetoresistive response for a chromium of 18 angstrom thickness film is very small. But as the chromium thickness decreases to 9 angstrom, the magnetoresistive responses was almost double. So it basically increases by 50%. Although this effect was observed at very low temperature at 4.2 Kelvin, but it basically, ignited a very nice hope in this direction. And so this giant magnetoresistance effect, which they have reported in 1988, is called the giant magnetoresistance because the response is very giant. And in 1997, based on this effect, which is GMR effect, the GMR based hard drive readout was produced by the IBM in 1997, and then the tunneling magnetoresistance effect, which I will explain you in the following slide. The TMR came into picture in 1995. Although the difference between GMR and TMR is only of the different physics. So TMR is basically because of the tunneling of the electrons, and the GMR is basically the spin-dependent scattering of the electrons through this chromium layer, basically. So for a particular type of spin, the spin-dependent scattering is higher, and for another type of spin configuration, the spin-dependent scattering is less. So here you see the spin-dependent scattering is very high for the anti-parallel configuration of iron, chromium, iron. However, for the parallel configuration, this is very less. So TMR effect is also quite similar, only the physics part is different. So this in 1995, this tunneling magnetoresistance came into picture, and the first tunneling magnetoresistance effect based hard drive readout was launched by Seagate in 2004, and then in the 2006, this magnetoresistive RAM, which is also called magnetic random access memory, was launched by Freescale in 2006, and because of this pioneer work reported by these two giants, Peter Grunberg and Albert Fert, they were awarded this Nobel Prize because their effect basically in a way revolutionized the electronic industry. Now you must be thinking that why this magnetoresistive response is so important. Well, if you look at this magnetoresistive response, so higher the magnetoresistive response, better is the sensing capabilities of your device. And if higher is the magnetoresistive response, then that allows you to scale down your devices to further narrow dimensions. So what basically these a giant microresistance, tunneling microresistance effect responses have done over the years is that it allowed the scientists to scale down devices further, because the sensing capabilities are very high. So and this effect basically was the beginning of the spintronics technology. And in a way, these GMR based hard drive readouts were the first major application of the nanotechnology. So here in this picture, I have shown you a 10 terabyte hard disk drive, and this is the magnetic random access memory, which I will discuss again in the following slides. So now this is the tunneling microresistance effect. The only difference is here is that the barrier, the spacer layer here is the insulating layer. So that's why the physics changes. So through this insulating barrier, the tunneling of the electron from one ferromagnetic layer to another ferromagnetic layer takes place. And because of this tunneling of the electron, which is very high for a one particular configuration, and for another particular configuration, this tunneling of electron is very less. So you see, till 2004, this tunneling microresistance was very less, because most of the scientists were using aluminum oxide barrier till then. But if you look at that, after 2004, there is a significant, or I would say the dramatic change in the tunneling microresistance ratio. And this is the period when you have witnessed a very revolutionized change in our data storage industry. So you see, I mean, if I remember during my master's in 2007, we hardly have such as smartphones at that time. I mean, a very common use of these smartphones. But if you look at in the last 10 years, the advancement in the technology, and so these are the basically effects which are responsible for revolutionizing this electronic industry. And this is I have shown here graphically that beyond 2004 there is a significant increase in the tunneling microresistance ratio. And I think I have not updated this slide. So highest TMR ratio, to the best of my knowledge, is basically 604%, which I have not updated here. But yeah, but 472% is itself very large. And these are the devices which were fabricated in Thin Film Laboratory, IIT Delhi. So these are the magnetic tunnel junctions which we have fabricated. So this is the top electrode, and then we have a barrier. We have used the similar barrier of magnesium oxide, and then we have a bottom electrode. So these top and bottom electrodes are basically the ferrometric layers. And this is how we basically measure these devices. So we inject current through one terminal and then measure the voltage across the junction. So these are the layer structure of these devices. So they were fabricated over the silicon oxide, tantalum as a sheet layer, then cobalt iron is one ferromagnetic layer, then magnesium 1 nanometer layer, magnesium oxide 3 nanometer layer, and then nickel iron of 10 nanometers and tantalum 5 nanometers to basically cap these tunnel junctions. So now the question is how this information is stored. Sorry. How the information is stored in terms of these magnetic tunnel junctions. So as I said, these are the magnetic recording head, and these are the magnetic memory cells. So both these devices basically comprises of these structures. So these are two ferromagnetic layers separated by a spacer layer. And I will tell you what is this antiferrometric layer here. And this is the spin transfer torque based magnetic random access memory chip layout. And here also you see these magnetic tunnel junctions are used, and these are the bit lines to read the information and write the informations. Now the question is how do we read the informations in this digitally basically. So if you look at these structures, the electrical resistance of these devices basically depends on the relative orientation of the top and bottom ferromagnetic layers. So for a parallel state, we have so here you can see, here. So here you see for the parallel state, we have a zero resistance. But once we have an anti-parallel states, then we have a very maximum resistance. And then again we have a parallel state, then we have a resistance 0. And then again we switch back from negative magnetic field to positive magnetic field. Again we have for the parallel state we have a 0 resistance, and then we have a maximum resistance, and then again minimum resistance. So basically this parallel and anti-parallel alignment of the ferromagnetic layers gives you one state and the 0 state. So 0 state is basically the low resistance state, and one state is basically the high resistance state. So basically all the information is basically in the form of 1 and 0 states. So you have different binary combinations of 1 and 1001, 1110. So they are being read because of these two different states of high resistance state and the low resistance state. Now, how do we obtain these alignments, parallel and anti-parallel alignments? So what we do here experimentally is that we basically log the magnetization of this bottom ferromagnetic layer with the help of an antiferromagnetic layer, which is shown here by the green color. So this antiferromagnetic layer basically holds the magnetization. So even if you apply magnetic field, it holds the magnetization. So basically your bottom ferromagnetic layer magnetization will not reverse or will not respond to the applied magnetic field. So only the top layer magnetization will respond to the applied magnetic fields, and that's how you obtain these parallel and anti-parallel states basically. So this effect basically by which this bottom ferromagnetic layer magnetization is logged is called the exchange bias, and I did my PhD in this effect called exchange bias effect. So if you want to understand this effect, so you have a ferromagnetic layer. So this is the magnetic response of this ferromagnetic layer. So when you apply magnetic field, you have a hysteresis response. You all are well aware of this hysteresis curve. But when you brought this or when you bring this ferromagnetic layer next to this antiferromagnetic layer, then your hysteresis looks shifted in the opposite direction of the applied magnetic field. So this happens because of this holding of spins at the interface. So this effect is used to create parallel and anti-parallel states in which I have shown you here. So these parallel and anti-parallel states are basically obtained by this effect, exchange bias effect. So I will not go into detail. Now I will show you the evolution of the magnetic hard drives over the years. So this is basically the GMR element seed, which I discussed to you that how these GMR memory cells are used in the hard drives. Now, if you look at the historical background, so this was the computer which was launched by IBM in 1956, and you look at how bulky it is. So people are carrying this very huge size computer in 1956, and look at the configuration of this system. So it has 50 disks, 100 sides, 100 tracks per side. The speed is basically the writing speed is 8 kilobyte per second, and the rotation per minute is 1200. So it's very bulky. And then if you look at the advancement in the following years, in 1973, Winchester has launched this. Another computer, Winchester, was launched by IBM 3340. So it has a capacity of 70 megabyte. The speed increases by 885 kilobytes. Still, it is very bulky, you see. But if you go further, so this is a very beautiful graph to show the progress. So you see, this graph was very consistent till 90s. But after the discovery of the giant magnetic resistance effect, this curve basically underwent a very steep increase in the areal density megabits per inch square. So this happens because of this discovery of the giant magnetic resistance effect. And in 1998, the first GMR based read head was produced, and then in the following years, this progress increases substantially. So these are the hard drive milestones which I have summarized here. So in 1988, GMR effect was discovered, and then 1997, first hard drive based on GMR read head was launched by IBM, and in 2005, first hard drive at 500 gigabyte by Hitachi GST was launched. And on the same year, 2005, first hard drive with DMR based read heads was launched by Seagate, and then first hard drive with perpendicular magnetic anisotropy based hard drive was launched in 2005. And in 2007, first hard drive at 1 terabyte was launched by Hitachi. And in 2009, first hard drive at 2 terabyte was launched by Western Digital. And these advancements took place because of this higher tunneling magnetic resistance effect. And then so the latest news is that in 2020, the first hard drive of 20 terabyte was launched by Western Digital. So this is the latest news which I have updated last year. And I will show you, and if you look at Indian Western Digital website, so you will see that this first hard drive uses spin transfer torque oscillators or spin Hall nano oscillator, which I will discuss in the following slide. So these are the hard drive milestones achieved over the last 30 years. So look at this progress. This is tremendous. And all this happened because of this very giant or tunneling magnetic resistance effect. And this is the MRAM which was first launched by Freescale in 2006, July 2006 to be very precise. And these are the basic elements. This uses this trilayer structures of MTJs, magnetic turn junctions, to read or write the informations basically. So again, the same concept: parallel alignment and anti-parallel alignment. So parallel alignment gives you 0 state, anti-parallel alignment gives you 1 state. You must be wondering that although this MRAM were launched in 2006, but still it is not commercialized because the problem is basically the cost. Still, the cost is not that reasonable to bring these MRAMs into the market. Otherwise, they were already launched 10 years back. So 10 or 15 years back, I would say. So now I will go to the second part of my talk, which is Spintronic 2.0. And Spintronic 2.0 is dedicated to these two gentlemen, Luc Berger and Johann Slonczewski. And sadly, Johann Slonczewski died.
Sir, you have gone on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, so was I unmuted or for a long time or?
No, you just started with this slide, Spintronics 2.0.
Okay, yeah. So this part of my talk is dedicated to these two gentlemen, Luc Berger and Johann Slonczewski. And sadly, Slonczewski died 3 years back. So they discovered this effect, the spin transfer torque. And based on this effect, so we have a spin transfer torque based magnetic random access memory and the spin torque oscillator. So the advantage of this Spintronic 2.0 to Spintronic 1.0 is that this Spintronic 2.0 is much more energy efficient. And you will see next is Spintronic 3.0, that is even much more energy efficient. So basically, we are tending towards energy efficient means to revolutionize our existing technology. So let me first explain to you what is this spin current, because we will use this concept in our future devices. So the question is, what is the spin current? So you all are aware of this electrical current, which is also called charge current. So in charge current, you have basically both spin up and spin down electrons. So charge current comprises of both spin up and spin down electrons. So you can say the charge current is basically the unpolarized current. So you have spin up electrons and spin down electrons, both are moving in one particular direction. Now, by some means, if we can have a majority of the spin up electrons in a one particular direction, like this here. So we have a majority of spin up electrons here, which are tending to us. So we have a spin polarized current in addition to the charge current. So we have a charge current, but in addition to the charge current, we have a spin polarized current. And by some means, if we can create a situation where our spin up electrons are moving anti-parallel to our spin down electrons, then we have a pure spin current. And in this case, we have a zero charge current. So I have basically explained to you 3 different possibilities. So unpolarized current is basically the pure charge current, which you use in your home. This is basically the unpolarized current. And by some means, if we can control the flow of spin up electrons, the majority of the spin up or spin down electrons are higher in a charge current, then you have a spin polarized current. And then if they are anti-parallel to each other, or basically you separate out these spin up and spin down electrons, then you have a pure spin current. So I will discuss these 2 cases because charge current you already know, because charge current is used in our electronic devices. So I will discuss these two, spin polarized current case and the pure spin current case. So first I will discuss this spin polarized current case. You see, so before we use this concept of spin polarized current, so let us understand the basics. So I have basically shown here a ferromagnetic layer. So this ferromagnetic layer can be of cobalt, nickel, iron, cobalt, and boron. So these are basically ferromagnetic alloys. So now when this ferromagnetic layer is subjected to a magnetic field, so what happens is that individual movements in this ferromagnetic layer starts to precess. You see in this video, this starts to precess around the external magnetic field. However, every ferromagnetic layer has a damping, which basically opposes this precessional motion of this ferromagnetic magnetization vector. So because of this opposition offered by this damping, this magnetization vector basically aligns along the direction of the applied magnetic field. So basically this precessional motion stops suddenly. Now for the practical applications, what we need is basically to sustain this precession, because this precessional motion gives you a frequency or a signal at a particular frequency. So how do we counteract this, this opposition basically, which is offered by this damping? So one of the method is basically this spin polarized current. So this is basically the mathematical description of this precessional motion. So you have a precessional motion, which is a simple Larmor precession, which you already study in your physics course. And then this is the damping torque, which opposes this precessional motion. And then if we can bring an additional spin transfer torque, which will be given by this spin polarized current, then we can sustain this precessional motion of the magnetizing vector. And this is what is essential for the practical applications. So how do we generate this spin transfer torque? So let us understand from this picture. So this is basically the charge current. So whenever you inject some current through a copper layer, so you have a pure charge current. So in pure charge current, you have spin up electrons and spin down electrons. Now what happens when this pure charge current is, so this is pure charge current, and when this pure charge current is injected in a ferromagnetic layer, here I have shown nickel iron. So when it is injected through this nickel iron layer, it polarizes this charge current. You see the outcome is basically the spin polarized charge current. So it has a charge current, but the majority of the spin up electrons are polarized. So now you have a charge current as well as the spin current. So we call it spin polarized current. So JE plus JS. Now when this polarized current basically is injected to another ferromagnetic layer, which is here cobalt, then what it does basically, that it basically acts an anti-damping torque to this magnetizing vector. And this is how this precessional motion basically sustained in this another ferromagnetic layer. So what this spin polarized current does basically, that charge current is polarized by one ferromagnetic layer. So that's why it is called a polarizer or a polarizer, because it polarizes the charge current. And when this spin polarized current is fed to another ferromagnetic layer, it drives the magnetization dynamics in this top ferromagnetic layer. And this is how you generate a microwave signal of gigahertz frequency range. And this is basically the basic of spin transfer torque based amperage, because this spin polarized current has the potential to switch the magnetization in the another directions. And this switching is basically the key functionality of this magnetic random access memory. So these are basically the spin transfer torque based MRAM, which were launched recently, 3-4 years back. So this is basically the fundamental concept of how the magnetizing dynamics is excited with the help of a spin polarized current. And these two gentlemen have proposed this idea in 1996, Shonchwatsky and Berger. So this is basically the actual device. So this is the actual device layer structure. So we have a cobalt fixed layer which polarizes this charge current, and then we have a special layer of copper, and then we have a top ferromagnetic layer of cobalt and nickel, which basically drives the entire magnetization dynamics. So now what we do is basically we fabricate a point contact. And why do we fabricate point contact? Because in order to minimize the energy consumption, so what you can do, you have two options. Either you reduce the current or you basically reduce the size. Because if you reduce the size, your current density is very high. Because I equal to, so J is basically current density is basically equal to current divided by area. So if you basically reduce the cross-sectional area by some means, or for example, here we do by fabrication, then you can increase the current density. So basically current density is important, not the current basically. So so this is how we fabricate this these devices. So we have nano contacts here. So these are 2 nano contacts. So this is the actual image of the device basically. So this is the scanning electron micrograph image of this device, and these are the electrical pads to inject current here. So these are the 2 nano contacts which we have fabricated by lithography technique, electron beam lithography. And this is the electrical pads which were used to basically inject current and to measure the current. So this is the device which we have fabricated in my last postdoctoral work. And then when we measure these devices, we obtain this type of signal. So usually we have a signal of 10 gigahertz to 30 gigahertz range in these devices. So that's why these devices are called basically microwave generators, because they generate the very high frequency microwave signals. And as we increase, as we inject the current, so you have a different frequency range microwave signal generation. So this was the work which we have published in 2018. So here we have basically demonstrated that how we can generate a very high frequency microwave signal of frequency range 0 to 30 gigahertz, and how we can further increase the output power of this signal by synchronizing these 2 nano contacts. So here basically these are 2 nano contacts, which are the size of this nano contact is basically 150 nanometer, and the separation between these 2 nano contacts is 300 nanometer. So when we increase the current, so we can, you see here 2 independent signals corresponding to 1 nano contact and second nano contact. But when you increase the current, these 2 nano contacts start to talk to each other, and at a certain current density, these 2 signals basically merge in each other. So that's why these are called the synchronization state. So at the synchronization state, you increase the output power and reduce the coherency of the signal, increase the coherency of the signal. Now, why I have shown you this picture here, you see that the mangrove resistance is 36% here. Although if you see the mangrove resistance of these stacks is more than 100%. So if I remember correctly, the mangrove resistance response of these MTJ stacks were about 200%. But when we fabricate these nano contacts, then the mangrove resistance response decreases. So this is what I was explaining in my earlier slides, is that why this higher mangrove resistive response is important. Because if you have higher mangrove resistive response, it allows you to scale down the devices. Because if you don't have, for example, if I have only 40% of mangrove resistive response in my stack, and then if I make this nano contacts, then this nano contacts will be useless because they will not sense. So higher mangrove resistive response is very much important to reduce the size of these devices, because it basically gives you a figure of merit. So, and these frequency signals are used in various applications. For example, you can transmit information in terms of these signals. So these are basically the spin wave signals. So I will show you in the following slide this. And the group velocity of this signal is basically about 1000 kilometers per second. So you can imagine how fast the communication can be with the help of these devices. Now, again, coming back to this application of these nano oscillators. So why we call oscillators these? Because these oscillators, so we inject a DC current and we get a AC signal out of it. That's why these devices are called the oscillators. So, and because since these oscillators are basically spin-based oscillators, so we call it spintronic nano oscillator. And where these spintronic nano oscillators are used, so if you look at the Internet of Things around, so we see a huge demand of nanoscale microwave sources for various applications, which I have shown here, such as RF wireless communications, where you need sensors to basically monitor the speed of the vehicles. Wave-based computing, which I don't know whether you are aware of that or not. So this computing is basically completely spin wave based computing. So this area is called magnonics. And then this microwave assisted hard disk drives, which I have discussed already. So the Western Digital has announced 20 terabyte hard disk drives in late 2020. So if you look at these microwave assisted hard disk drives, the elements which were used to write information is basically these STNOs, spin torque nano oscillators. And then this emerging area of neuromorphic computing, where you try to basically mimic our neuron interactions of our brain. So this field is called the neuromorphic computing. So I will show you how these oscillators are used in this neuromorphic computing and this mnemonic applications. So now coming to the next. So these are the ultra-wide microwave signals. The use of these ultra-wide microwave signals. If you have, let's say, if we have a microwave signal of 100 gigahertz, if these devices can give us, then we can use this in the space defense applications and this vehicle radar applications, and then this streamed high definition TV which requires 60 gigahertz. So a tiny components gives you a very high frequency microwave signal. So that's the beauty of this technology. So now finally, this is the final part of my talk, which I named as Spintronic 3.0. So Spintronic 3.0 deals with the spin Hall effect. So here I will talk about a pure spin current. So I will show you the operation of the devices with pure spin current. There is no charge current. Well, there is charge current involved to generate pure spin current, but the operational part is governed by the pure spin current. So again, I will go back to this photo which I have, this animation which I have showed you earlier, that we need this anti-damping torque to sustain this precessional motions. So one method which I have already discussed is that we basically control this precessional motion with the help of a spin polarized current. Now the another energy efficient approach which is basically discovered in 2004, experimentally discovered in 2004, which is called spin Hall effect. So spin Hall effect is a very simple effect. So what you do here is that you have a non-magnetic heavy metal layer, which is of platinum, tungsten, or tantalum. So what you do, you inject charge current. So you basically inject unpolarized charge current here into this non-magnetic heavy metal layer, and due to the high spin orbit interaction of this layer basically separates or decouples these spin up and spin down electrons. So basically you have spin up pointing up and spin down pointing down. So you have a net accumulation of one type of spins in one interface and other type of spins at the other interface. So this separation of the spins basically constitutes a type of current which is called spin current, or which is actually called pure spin current, because there is no charge current involved here. The charge current is involved only to separate out these spins. So what this spin current does, this spin current, if this spin current can diffuse into an adjacent ferromagnetic layer, it can drive the magnetizing dynamics. So this is exactly what people have done over the years. So in 2012, you see the people have fabricated this device. This is nanopillar based devices. I'm not going into this detail. So these are spin Hall effect based oscillators, which we call it spin Hall nano oscillators. And then in 2012, some other group has fabricated this nano gap based spin Hall nano oscillators. So the difference is only in the geometry part. And in 2014, the same group has also demonstrated nano constriction. So constriction is basically, this is the constriction. This area is the constriction. So this is quite similar to the, to the tie, about this tie you wear, it's quite similar to this shape. So this is called bow tie shaped structures. And then you have this nano wire geometry of these oscillators. So where you have a long wire of this permalloy and platinum layer. So you see, these are basically simpler structures consisted of one permalloy layer and this platinum layer. Platinum layer is used to generate spin current, and then this spin current diffuses into this ferromagnetic layer, which is permalloy layer, and then it drives the magnetizing dynamics there. And then you have this signal, again the same signal. We have a 5 gigahertz signal here, and this signal is basically, if you look at this, if you measure this dynamical profile here, then you see that this signal is strongly localized in this region. So this localization is actually not required from the practical applications, but this is what it is actually. So among these different device layouts which I have discussed here, this nanoconstriction based device layout is particularly attractive because you can so it basically gives you optical access. In addition to the electrical access, it gives you the optical access, and it's easy to fabricate, and it has very low joule heating. So if you see here, the only current which I needed to operationalize these devices is only 4 milliampere current, compared to this spin polarized current case where I needed 10 milliampere or 15 milliampere. So here the current has been reduced to basically 50%. So I need only 3 milliampere current to generate this microwave signal. So we followed this geometry, and we basically fabricated these oscillators in our laboratory. So in 2017, we fabricated a 20 nanometer size spin Hall and oscillator device, which gives you a microwave signal of about 16 gigahertz frequency range. And then we also fabricated this CMOS compatible spin Hall and oscillator, which can be used in the CMOS technology. So we use the concept of this perpendicular magnetic anisotropy, which I will not go into the detail here, but the message here is that these oscillators are also CMOS compatible because they were fabricated in a highly resistive silicon substrate, which offers very high thermal conductivity, which is actually needed for the CMOS technology. And the another important parameter for the CMOS technology is that the energy consumption. So basically, if you see here, the current required to drive these oscillations is only less than a 1 milliampere, which is extremely small. And then, so what we did here is that we measured these oscillators in the out of plane magnetic fields. So here, this work was in the in plane magnetic fields, and we measured these oscillators in the out of plane magnetic fields. So what this out of plane magnetic fields gives us? This out of plane magnetic fields basically gives us, this is the micromagnetic simulations which my colleague Mikola has done in these devices, and he observed is that if you measure these devices in the out of plane magnetic fields, then you see this auto oscillating mode, it expands in the close to perpendicular field. So here you see it's a strongly localized here in the in plane fields, but in the out of plane fields it basically expands, and this expansion basically allowed the two neighboring oscillators to interact. When you have an expansion, when your domain increases, then you can easily talk to each other. So this is exactly what happens here also. So this expansion of the mode basically allowed us to interact multiple oscillators in a chain. So here we have shown that we can synchronize up to 9 oscillators in a linear chain. And why do we synchronize these oscillators? Because we need to increase the output power. Otherwise, how do we use these devices? So we need to increase the output power, although the frequency range is very nice, but the power is not still up to the mark. So in order to increase the power, we need to synchronize as much as large number of oscillators. So here we were able to synchronize 9 identical oscillators, and you see here that these are the individual signals. These are the individual signals of individual oscillators, and when we increase the current, these individual signals merge, and then we have a very strong signal at 3.5 milliampere. So this is basically the signal at the synchronized state, and the power of the signal is also quite substantial compared to the individual signal. But again, although the power is still not very high, but you can see the improvement here compared to the individual case. So, and this is the scanning electron micrograph image of these chain of oscillators, which are 9 identical oscillators. And then we basically improved our device geometry. And what we did in 2020 is that we basically fabricated these oscillators in a 2-dimensional geometry. So you have a chain, and then you have a column source. So what we did here is that we fabricated up to 64 oscillators in an area of less than a square micron. So this area is basically just a 1 micrometer square. So in a square micron size, we can have 64 oscillators, and then we can synchronize these 64 oscillators. So here I have shown that how we can synchronize 8 by 8 array of oscillators. So here, individual signals. So why we have only 4 signals here? Because our chains are already synchronized in the beginning. So we have only 4 signals corresponding to each individual chain. So each individual chain is here, and then when we increase the current, each individual chain again synchronized to each other, and then we have a very strong signal here. So what is the output of this synchronization? So we have, this line width. So this line width is basically determines the coherency of your signal, how coherent your signal is. So this line width, so lower the line width, the higher will be the coherency of your signal. So basically, we observed a line width of about 60 kilohertz for a 64 oscillators, and this basically gives rise to a quality factor, which I think you already all know about. This quality factor is basically gives you the quality of the signal. So the quality factor is 170,000, which to the best of our understanding is the highest record reported by any group. So the earlier record was 30,000 by the National Institute of Standard Technology US in 2004, and then we are here 170,000. So this is the maximum quality factor reported in any spintronic based devices. And then I will show you very interesting applications of these oscillators, how we can use these oscillators to mimic the neurons of our brain. So this work, so before I discuss our work, I would like to explain this work, which was, it's a very nice work, and this work motivated us a lot. So this work was done by Uli Grolier Group at France, and they published this work in Nature in 2018. So what they did is basically they use 4 oscillators. So these are basically spin transfer torque nano oscillators. These are the actual devices. So these are 4 individual vortex-based spin transfer torque nano oscillators, and each oscillator is controlled by individual currents. So I1, I2, I3, and I4. So what they did basically is that they have a network of 4 oscillators, and with the help of 2 independently tunable frequencies, FA and FB, they basically injection locked these frequencies to this network of oscillators. And when the individual oscillators couples with this external frequency, it creates a synchronization state or injection locked states. So you have basically multiple synchronization states here, which is given by the synchronization map. So you have about a lot of for example, you see 1A and 4B gives rise to when the oscillator 1 is injection locked to frequency A, and the oscillator 4 is injection locked to frequency B. So depending on the different permutations and combinations of this injection locking, you have different desynchronization states. So basically, 4 oscillators gives rise to a multiple synchronization state. And what they did basically, so these are the French vowels. That's why you will be surprised. These are French vowels, and what they did is basically they basically fed these vowels to this network of these oscillators in a way that each vowel presented as an input to this network can be represented by a certain synchronization state given by this synchronization map. So basically, if any speaker will pronounce any vowel, this vowel will be fed to this network of oscillator, and this synchronization map can distinguish this vowel belongs to which speaker. So by doing this, they were able to recognize 7 vowels which were spoken by 37 different speakers, and with a recognition rate of 85%. So for the 85% time, so 85% was the time they were successful in recognizing these vowels with the help of these oscillators. So this is exactly this is the first experimental applications of this neuromorphic computing, that you can distinguish the vowels spoken by different speakers with the help of these 4 oscillators. Now the question is, how do we scale up this system? For example, you have recognized vowels with the help of this oscillator, but what about consonants? Can we do that? So in order to have more applications, you need scaling up this network, and that basically motivated us to do this, to use our 2-dimensional arrays to perform similar type of operations. So we used the similar, we did the exactly similar experiment, but we used our device to perform this experiment, because our device gives you a very proper scaling path. For example, in our device, we have 64 oscillators compared to the 4 oscillator, and our device can be controlled by a single drive current compared to the previous device. So you see here, so this is our 4x4 array of oscillator, and we use this 4x4 array of oscillators. So we have these 4 chains basically acts as 4 neurons in our case. So we have 4 neurons, and now we wanted to demonstrate the similar operation which were performed by Uli Grolier Group. So what we did, so we basically powered this device with a single DC current compared to the earlier case. where you see individual drive currents, but our device is powered by a single drive current, and when then we injection locked two different frequencies, FA and FB, and by injection locking these frequencies to this network of oscillators, you obtain this similar synchronization map, which can distinguish 20 different injection locked states. So basically, we reproduce the similar synchronization map reported by this Ueli-Grolier group with the help of a 4x4 array of spin-Holland oscillators. And the advantage here is that our operational frequencies are very high here. So if you compare with this case, so here the operational frequencies are in the megahertz and our operational frequencies are in gigahertz. What it means is that the operation is even much more faster. So higher is the frequency, faster is the operation. So this basically demonstrations allowed you to scale up this applications to large dynamical networks. But at the same time, there is a limitation here. The limitation is that if you want to perform different tasks. So for example, this is vowel recognition, but you want to do some different tasks. So you need to have an individual control over the oscillators. So you need individual control over these oscillators. So for this purpose, we use this concept of voltage control magnetic anisotropy. So I will not go into this detail, but I will show you what we did actually. So here we fabricated the similar devices, but we introduced a new type of anisotropy here in this ferromagnetic layer, and that new anisotropy is called the perpendicular magnetic anisotropy. So what this perpendicular magnetic anisotropy is that it allows you to the ease to bring the magnetization vector out of the film plane, and by doing so we were able to push the frequency which we measured, to push the frequency above this magnonic band gap, where we can have a propagation of these spin waves. So you see, I will show you here is that when we measured this signal in these devices, our auto oscillating signal is basically well above this natural frequency of this ferromagnetic resonance. So this is the natural frequency of the ferromagnetic resonance. So what it means is that we are in a regime where our oscillators can emit propagating spin waves. And how do these propagating spin waves look like? They look like this. So you see this spin wave emission is taking place. So basically this is the spin wave emission recorded at this particular current at this particular frequency. So here, for example, this is, you can see as you increase the current, this emission of the spin wave basically it increases. So we have now propagating spin waves in this nanoconstruction based devices, and these propagating spin waves are basically the key elements for the wave based computing, which I have shown you in the earlier slides. So I was talking about this individual control. So in order to have this individual control, what we did here is that we basically fabricated new type of device. So this is the actual device. This is the nanoconstruction device, and what we did here is that we modified this device. So we added a voltage controlled gate, like in your field effect transistor. So this is the gate basically. So we fabricated this gate over this constriction region. And what this gate does is this gate basically applied electric field. So we wanted to control this device with the help of electric field. And why do we want to control this with the electric field? Because electric field is a very energy efficient approach. Because its electric field is just because like a charging and discharging of a capacitor. So it doesn't require any energy to operate these devices. So now this device can be controlled with the current as well as with the electric field. And you see the effect of this electric field is here. So when we apply this -2 volt voltage, so we have this signal, and we have the signal started at this particular current. But when we apply a large positive gate voltage, what it means is that we have a large electric field. Then our operation, then this auto oscillation starts at even a very less current. So basically, this is the effect of the electric field can be clearly seen here. That the effect of the electric field is that if you increase the electric field, you need very less energy to excite or to power your device. So here you see this operation of this device takes place at a very less current. So now you have two additional functionalities. You have a functionality to control this device with the help of electric field and with the help of this direct current or the spin current basically. And this functionality gives us a very tunable 50 megahertz tunability and 22% tunability in this threshold current. So now your devices are also very tunable with the help of electric field and with the help of the current. And then the effect of this electric field can be seen here is that we have drastically changed the spin wave localizations under the different electric fields. So negative voltage gives to you a negative electric field and positive voltage gives you positive. So for the positive field, we have a strongly localized spin waves, and then you have a very expansion of the spin waves across the constituents. And now what we are doing currently is that we are trying to control this synchronization with the help of this gate. So basically, so this is the device. These are the 4 oscillators, and these 4 oscillators. So we have 2 gates over these oscillators, and this is how we are looking forward to control our synchronization. So this is basically this one particular state where we have corresponding to these 4 oscillators. We have 2 signals. So this signal corresponds to the bottom 2 oscillator, and this signal corresponds to the top 2 oscillators. And we can control this synchronization state with the help of this gate voltage. So here, we are sitting here at this point. So at this point, if we increase the gate voltage of this M1, so the upper frequency branch starts to talk to the lower frequency branch. And at a particular gate voltage, we obtain a purely synchronized state. So this synchronization state is achieved by purely the electric field, because we are not injecting any current here. We are only injecting the voltage, which means that there is only electric field here. So this synchronization state can be controlled with the help of electric field. And this is how we are trying to individually control oscillators with the help of electric field. So, so the take-home message from what I have discussed so far is that, spintronics originates due to the fundamental physical limitations of the conventional electronic devices. We are not saying that the complete reconstructions of this electronic industry is going to take place. We are saying this spintronics is basically the upgradation of the current electronic industry. And what spins offer? The spin offers additional functionalities. Basically, that combined logic, storage, and sensing applications. And all these 3 can be done with the manipulation of the spins. So that's the additional feature which spin gives to this electronic industry. And most importantly, this spintronic devices gives us the possibility of quantum computers and quantum communication-based solid-state electronic devices. And quantum computers, I think everyone is well aware of. Quantum computers basically is likely to change the perspective of the information technology in the 21st century. So with this, I would like to acknowledge my all the group members where I have done this research work at University of Gothenburg, and these are the funding agencies which basically allowed us to do this cutting edge work. And he is my boss in the middle, Johan Ackerman. He is the world leader in the area of spintronics. And so these are our Japanese collaborators, which Hideo Ono is basically the president of the Tokyo University, which is credited for this huge tunnel magnetic resistance effect, because they basically collaborated with the Hitachi to basically produce more than 400% of tunnel magnetic resistance effect. So with this, I would like to thank you for your kind attention, and I will look forward to for your questions.
Thank you so much, sir. We are all enthralled by your knowledge and experience over spin-based electronics, that is spintronics. So I'm sure all the students have got motivated, and they are going to look forward for this branch of research, spintronics. So now I would like to call upon Dr. Vasudha to take up question answer session.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an informative lecture. Now I'll take some questions. Smriti Chawla is asking, if spin is more robust to external perturbation, then its application may have more noise and possibly some attenuation.
No, that's what I'm saying, that it is more robust to external perturbation means that you have a very smooth operation of these devices, because unlike charge electronic, if you look at the electrical charge, compared to the electrical charge, spin is more robust to the external perturbations.
Thank you, sir. She's also asking, how do we protect these spintronic devices from the influence of external factors?
External factors such as?
But I think she has not mentioned, but I think how maybe the environmental effect, like magnetic field, or maybe some oxidation kind of.
Yes, so yeah, that is one of the challenges these devices basically has been facing over the years. But for this nanoscale devices, we basically kept these devices with a particular layer, such as tantalum, ruthenium. So we protect these devices with a particular layer. So like, if I can show you in my devices, so we have protected it with certain, if I show you these devices like this. So these are the magnetic junctions, and you see here, so we have a sheet layer, and then we have a cap layer over this free layer. So this cap layer is basically the protecting layer, which basically protects the top layer from the oxidation.
Sir, another question is from Dr. Mansi from Maitrey College. She's asking, why is the MgO spacer layer better in comparison to aluminum oxide layer for obtaining high TMR ratio?
Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. So what has been observed during this 1995 or beyond this 1995, that the MgO layer is basically less defect free. It has, this tunneling effect, which I have explained. This tunneling effect depends on the defect in your spacer layer. So if the defects are very high, then the tunneling will be very high. So MgO is very even a thin MgO layer is very can be fabricated defect free, and it basically controls the tunneling process very efficiently. That's why MgO is comparatively better to this aluminum oxide. And also one important figure of merit, which is also taken into consideration here, is that so there is a parameter called RA, resistance multiplied by area. So this resistance multiplied by area, higher the RA product, better will be the TMR. So MgO allows you to basically thin down your MgO layer. So there is a possibility to fabricate a very thin and very robust MgO layer. That's why the TMR is higher in the case of MgO. Yeah.
She has another question, sir. How do magnetic domains change at nanoscale?
Yeah, that is also a very interesting question. So well, it's a very it's not a question to be answered in a in a very short way, but as you go into the nano dimensions, you basically go from a multi-domain structure to a single domain structure. So the manipulation is governed by the single domains, because if you reduce the size, then you are switching from a multi-domain regime to the single domain regime. And then there is a term called superparamagnetism, because when you further reduce the dimensions, then your ferrometric layers become superparamagnetic, which is also again a challenge, because superparamagnetic basically destroys your ferromagnetism. So people are trying different things to overcome this superparamagnetic, which I think I have shown you this limit in some of my slides also. So yeah. So if you see here, yeah, this one. So here, if you see here that I have shown you this superparamagnetic effect here, because you further scale down your ferromagnetic layer, then the superparamagnetic state arises. So people try, different ferromantic alloys to overcome this paramagnetic effect and these things. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one more question is from Sneha Srohi from second year physics honors. She is asking why the magnetoresistance response increase in tunneling in nanoscale after fabrication.
Yeah, so this tunneling, well, it's a altogether a different physics. So, well, it was experimental observation basically that that if electron tunnels, so if electron tunnels for a particular alignment of the spins, this response of the resistance change to the current is very high. Because in GMR, there was no tunneling there in GMR. So in GMR, you have one spin up electron and spin down electron. Spin up electron is scattered. So that is a spin dependent scattering there. But here you have not a scattering. Here you have a tunneling of electrons. And tunneling of electrons basically for a particular alignment of the spins, you have a large tunneling of the electrons. And for another alignment of the spins, you have a less tunneling of the electron. That's why the response observed is very higher.
Thank you, sir, once again for the enlightening lecture.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now I invite Dr. Savi to give vote of thanks to our eminent speaker. Over to you, Dr. Savi.
Good afternoon to you all. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. As all good things come to an end in life, so is this webinar. On behalf of Physics Department, Maitrey College, I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to those who are directly or indirectly involved in this webinar today. At the outset, I thank our resource persons, Dr. Anil Kumar and Dr. Himanshu Fulara, who gave deep insights into their topics and enlightened us with their knowledge. I would like to thank them for taking out time from the busy schedule for sharing with us their findings and opinions today. I would like to extend our gratitude towards our principal, Dr. Haritma Chopra, for granting us the permission to organize this webinar session and also for her enthusiastic, consistent support. A special mention to the organizing committee for their unflinching support and coordination. A heartfelt thanks to the audience and students present here for paying attention and learning. Thank you all and have a nice day. Thank you.
So I just saw one question here. So let me answer this question because maybe. So Simrati, did you fabricate these devices physically or you did the simulation? Yes, these devices were fabricated physically in not in India, in Gothenburg, Sweden. And I measured these devices by myself. Yeah. And we also studied this with the help of simulations. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
So can I leave now or what do we have?
Yes. Can we take a photograph? If Neha, are you there? Neha?
Yes.
We can take a group photograph. I request all the participants to switch on your video. Thank you so much. Neha, please let us know, okay, when you're done.
Okay, just give me a moment. Savi, your photo is okay. You are on different mode. Okay, fine. All of you, please switch on your camera because I can see some of the participant has not switched on their cameras.
Don't sigh. Just open your cameras.
Okay, probably not. Okay, let me do it.
So that I can also see all of you. Yeah, wow.
Okay, I have done.
Okay.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
all are
much.
looking
Thank you
very
so
nice.
much, sir.
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr.
Good to see you
Kullara.
all. Thank you.
So nice to accept our invitation. Thank you so much. We are grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manshu.
Thank you. Bye bye, Parul.
Bye.
All of you, please fill up the feedback form so that we can send you the certificates.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye, sir.
Bye bye.
Bye, Manshu.
Thank you everyone for your participation and patient hearing and learning. Kaushalya is also here. Hello Kaushalya, how are you? Just a minute, I'll unmute your, I'll just a minute. I'll unmute you.
Hello, ma'am. Thank you so much for organizing this seminar. It was really a pleasure to see your faces, like all the teachers from Maitree College. It was really good. So thank you so much.
You're welcome anytime. And what are you doing now?
Ma'am, I'm doing my PhD in France.
Okay.
I'm also working in the same area of research, spintronics, which Dr. Kullara talked about. Yeah.
So Kaushalya, just share your contact numbers and email ID.
Yeah, sure.
So we call alumni also. So maybe we'll call you just at this time.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Sure. It will be my pleasure.
If you need, you have my ID. You must have received a mail.
Yes, I have it.
Just send. Kaushalya. I have your number also from the form, registration form. Okay. All the best. Very nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.